Hello fellas, how are you all? Please subscribe because it's the only source of motivation for me, yes also your comments. Please do comment as much as you can. Now on to the story. North, south, east, west, no matter which direction you looked in you could see the exact same thing. Water, water, water and of course, water. The only thing on the visible OS, and that wasn't made of 2 parts hydrogen 1 part oxygen, was a ship. It has been a few days since the Straw Hat Pirates left the Alabasta Kingdom along with their new nakama Nico Robin, though some of them were still wary of her due to her being a former enemy. She wears the same thing as Cannon. Most wary being the crew's first mate Rorano Azoro. Looks the same as Cannon. He when not asleep always keeps an eye on her. We now find the crew on the deck of their ship going merry, all busy doing their things. Luffy and Usopp were playing with chopsticks, Zoro expected by everyone was sleeping, Robin was reading a book. Sanji as always was cooking, Nami taking care of her oranges and Chopper was working on a medicine. Nami. A loud whine came from the crow's nest, the voice came F. Rom, a teenager wearing his signature straw hat. This teenager was the captain of the ship, Monkey D. Luffy. When will we get to the next island? Down below on the port side of the ship was Nami, a stunning red-haired beauty sat in a deck chair in her 2-piece swimsuit getting a tan. 2 days Luffy. Nami answered in an annoyed tone, same as when you asked 10 minutes ago, and 10 minutes before that and 10 minutes before that. Before Nami could rant on about Luffy annoying her, a door to the ship opened and out trotted a small furry reindeer standing of 2 legs with a red top hat on its head. Nami quickly noticed a smile on his face. Let me guess, Nami said with a grin, another new medicine Chopper. The reindeer's mouth split into a toothy grin. Yep, best one yet, Sue. D. Denly. Chopper's grin disappeared as his ears perked up. Chopper, what's wrong? Nami asked upon his disposition changed so quickly. Chopper didn't answer, instead his body started shifting into his reindeer form. He then raised his head and sniffed the air a few times. Nami, is there someone on the ship we gave ride to? Chopper asked. And no, why? Nami asked with a worry. Chopper sniffed the air again before speaking. I smell someone other the crew. Someone strong. Chopper said whilst still sniffing the air. He slowly followed the scent to the basement door. That's when he realized that the smell was coming from inside. There. It's coming from down there. Chopper shouted to Nami. Nami quickly stood up after grabbing her klima tacked from next to her chair. She reached door and was about to open it when she remembered Chopper saying that the one inside is strong and the worry in his voice decided against it. Nami took in a deep breath before shouting, "Man on board." After she screamed she waited for some kind of answer, but there was none. Nami realized what she had done wrong and drew in another breath. Man on board. It's not Luffy this time. This time footsteps were heard all over the ship as the crew made their way to her. Nami, what is it? Chopper asked, wondering what he had seen. I don't know who's inside and you said that he is strong, so it would be better if everyone is here before we see who's intruding the ship. Nami answered. Intruder. Chopper screamed as he changed into his smaller form and started running in circles. Intruder, intruder, we have intruder. Chopper screamed. Chopper, I already know that. You were the one who told me, remember? Nami said in annoyance. Oh yeah. Hey, Chopper said with a sweat drop hanging from his forehead. Luffy chose this moment to appear from the crow's nest. Oi, Nami, why are you screaming? Luffy said as if he'd just woken up. There's an intruder on the ship and Chopper says he smells him from in there. He says that whoever is in there, Nami told him. Intruder, I'll punch him for coming here. Luffy said as he walked towards the door, though he was bashed on by Nami. Luffy, you idiot, you can't just go in there. Let me finish. Nami screamed as her face started to turn red. Chopper says that whoever is in there is strong. Luckily for Nami by now everyone else had come there just in time to hear Nami's last statement. Now the monster trio of the crew were in the front ready to charge in while the others waited at the back. Luffy kicked the door of the basement and he along with Zoro and Sanji rushed inside to capture the intruder and then all went silent. Waiting, the rest of the crew outside were worried about what was taking them so long. Robin was the first to move, followed by others. They entered the room expecting a fight to be going on, but what they came upon was a strange sight. There, lying on the wooden floor, was a young man sleeping with a snot bubble coming out of his nose. Though this not what was strange, what it was the amount of ramen cups lying around him, about 100 if not more. Even more incredible was the all three of the monster trio were kicking the hell out of him, and he was still sleeping unaware of the world. Everyone sweat dropped. Frustrated, Luffy one last time punched him in the face before going out. Grew. MBLING something about beating the bastard when he wakes up. Seeing their captain, the rest followed him. Oi Luffy, what should we do now? We can't just let him sleep on our ship waiting for him to wake up and leave. Nami asked. But Nami, we tried everything and he won't wake up. Luffy told her. Oi, Nami, you said he was strong. What did you mean back then? Zoro asked. I don't know about that. Chopper told me that. Nami told them. Everyone looked towards Chopper looking for an explanation. Chopper, seeing this, started explaining them from the beginning about he first heard him snoring, and when concentrated some more, found his smell coming from the basement. He told them that all animals have a kind of sensor that lets them know of the dangers surrounding them. He said that Anima LS could tell when a person is strong and that this guy is no joke. Chopper, how strong do you think is this guy? Zoro asked. I can't explain it seeing as haven't met much people, but I compare him to Crocodile as I have seen and felt his power. Chopper answered. Well, Sanji asked. Everyone looked expectantly. In front of this guy, Crocodile is a joke. And sorry to say, Luffy, but even you are no match for him. Chopper told them seriously but nervously. What? Everyone shouted. Luffy, we can't have someone like him on Mary, we need to do something. Usopp shouted. Yay Luffy, I think we should just throw him in the sea. Maybe he won't came after us. Nami said. Zoro along with Sanji was silent all this time waiting for their captain to say something, who surprisingly was silent too. Suddenly, Luffy started laughing. Maybe I should ask him to join my crew. If he is strong then it would be worth a shot. Ha ha ha. Luffy said and started laughing but was stopped when bashed by Nami on the head. You idiot, you can't just ask him to join the crew, he could be dangerous. You should. Yawn. Nami was interrupted by a loud yawn that came from inside. Suddenly, the door opened and out came the man they all saw sleeping. Immediately everybody got ready to fight the man, knowing they would have to give their all or they wouldn't stand a chance. Now that they looked closely, they saw that the young man was around 22 years of age. He was a well-built man with an athlete's body. The man wore grayish pants along with brownish black boots. He wore white shirt with golden buttons and along with a light gray cloak that came all the way down to the knee. He also wore dark gray scarf along with matching color gloves. There was a blue gem necklace hanging loosely around his neck. The man was tan-skinned with blood-red hair and ruby-red eyes. Though the most prominent features noted were the 3 whisker marks on both sides of his face. They also saw a long Nodashi sword on his back, which some wondered how they missed back in the room. All in all, he was quite handsome as told by the blushes on the faces of both the girls. Man, what a nap. I wonder where I am now, said the man as looked towards the ocean, totally ignoring the crew. Cough, he heard a cough, looked where it came from, now finally seeing the crew. Yo, he said. Everybody facepalmed. Oi, what are you doing on this ship? Do you know this is the great Captain Usopp's ship going Mary? Usopp said, trying to be brave, though you could see he was nervous as wreck. I was sleeping. Who are you? The man replied. I am Monkey D. Luffy, the real captain and the man who would be the Pirate King. Luffy replied. Once again he was found lying on the floor with lumps on his head, courtesy of Nami. Idiot, don't just go introducing yourself. Now who are you and why are you sleeping on Mary? Nami asked, turning to the stranger. My name is Uzumaki D. Naruto. As to why I slept on your ship, because I wanted to get out of Alabasta and I was tired. Also I want to have a great adventure. The now named Naruto answered honestly. Naruto was now observing all of the crew when he spoke. TTED Nami and quickly made his way over to her. Everyone was now cautious of the man waiting for him to strike. Naruto got close to Nami and staring into her eyes. After a second he spoke. Who would be you, miss? He asked. Nami. She answered. Nami-san, would a beautiful lady like you be interested in going to a date with me? Maybe I could introduce you to some of the pleasures of the world. This brought shocked looks everyone and jealousy from Sanji, who saw Nami's face. Nami upon hearing this blushed and then thought about his second statement. Her face went red and tried hitting him the head. Tried being the keyword. When she hit him, her hand just passed through him. Everyone's eyes widened at that. Now Nami-san, it's unnecessary to hit me, you know. A voice came from behind them. When they turned around they were shocked seeing another Naruto standing there. When they turned back they saw the first Naruto slowly disappearing. Cool. Naruto, how did you do that? Luffy asked with stars in his eyes. You see, I ate the Kagami no am I. I am a mirror man. Naruto said calmly. Mirror. That means, a mirage. Nami said thoughtfully. Very observant of you, Nami-san. Yes, that was a mirage you just hit. You see, I reflected the light and projected my image over there. Though I am not bounded to only light reflection, I can reflect many other things too. Naruto told her. Naruto, I have decided become my nakama. Luffy shouted. Luffy can't just make him nakama. Didn't you hear Chopper? He is dang. Usopp cried but was interrupted. I accept. I was going to be a pirate anyway. If I wanted to complete my other goal. Naruto said. Other goal? What is it? Nami asked. Now Nami-san, that would be telling. But don't worry, if I become your nakama I would do nothing to betray you. Even I don't like traitors. Naruto told her seriously. Yosh, then it's final. Naruto is our new nakama. Luffy cheered. No. Usopp cried. After that what took place was a Straw Hat-styled party, during which Naruto was introduced to the other members of the crew. He took a particular liking to Robin, seeing as they had many things in common and was often with her. Zoro, seeing the sword the blonde carried, asked if he was a swordsman and got a positive response. He was happy about having a sparring partner. The rest were just busy with own things or just partying. Chapter 2. Demon Mirror Naruto Chapter 2. That was when they saw something fall from above. As that rain, blinked Usopp holding out his hands. I don't think so, said Sanji looking up. Hail, said Usopp. No, it looks like. All their eyes widened as they looked up to see a giant ship 3 times the size of the Going Merry falling down towards them. It crashed into the water right behind them, creating massive waves. More debris continued to fall as the waves shook the Going Merry violently. Brace yourselves. Don't let go of the ship, shouted Zoro. What is this? Yelled Nami, grabbing the mast. A dream. It must be a dream, shouted Usopp. A dream. But Chopper never finished as he and Usopp crashed their heads into another. More keeps falling, yelled Sanji. About 20 minutes later, all the debris had stopped falling and they all looked to see the giant ship resting in the water, upside turned over topside. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Why is there a ship falling from the sky? It is a mystery, said Sanji through narrowed eyes. Damn, the Grand Line sure is scary, shivered Usopp in fear. Chopper nodded in agreement as he too was shaking in fear. What is wrong, Nami-swan? Nami frowned. Something is wrong. The log pose is broken. It keeps pointing straight up and won't change. What is going on, she wondered. That isn't it. An island with a stronger magnetic field is causing the log pose to change its needle. And since it is pointing up, the log pose seems to have been taken by Sky Island, said Robin. Sky Island, they all shouted. Luffy gained an excited look. There is a floating island in the sky. But there is nothing in the sky that looks like an island, stated Zoro looking up. I wouldn't say that, explained Robin. To be more precise, there is a floating sea up there. That is so cool. We have to go see it, grinned Naruto. Yeah, yelled Luffy. Naruto and Luffy were silenced by a pair of arms covering their mouths. I don't care now much about Sky Island as I have never been there myself, finished Robin. Of course, it is all impossible. There is no way a sea or an island could be floating in the sky, argued Nami. The log pose is broken. Robin had a hard look in her eyes. No, Miss Navigator. No matter what danger befall you, no matter what panic you should face, one must never doubt the log pose. That is the ironclad rule of the Grand Line. What you should be doubting is your common sense. Wherever that log pose points, there is sure to be an island. You must merely find a way to get to it. Nami frowned as she looked down at the log pose. Crocus had said the same thing when first telling about how navigation through the Grand Line worked. Break. Naruto burst out laughing as he looked at Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy. He continued to laugh as tears streamed down his eyes. They were wearing barrels as scuba gear as they prepared to go down into the ocean and salvage the large ship that fell out the sky. Shut up, yelled Zoro angrily. Ha 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 ha. Oh no, the talking barrel has spoken. Run. Naruto burst out laughing some more. Robin and Nami put their hands over their mouths to hide their own laughter. I am going to kick your ass, growled Zoro. No, don't do it, Barrel-san. Spare me. Luffy started to laugh too. Why are you laughing? You're wearing this stupid thing too, yelled Zoro. It's funny, laughed Luffy. Okay, that is enough, smiled Nami. It is time for you all to go down there and salvage that ship. Hi, the three said. You sure this is safe? Asked Sanji. Yep, my designs are perfect, said Usopp confidently. The three nodded before jumping down into the ocean. Naruto wiped the tears from his eyes. We should have made them do a dance. Oh, can we make them do it when they get back up? Robin giggled while Nami smirked. That would be extremely funny. Chopper's ears twitched as he heard a sound. He turned and looked to see a ship approaching them in the distance. The rest turned to look as well as the singing and instruments had drawn their attention. All of them sweat dropped as they looked at the ship that is in the shape of a giant monkey with a pair of cymbals. A whistle blew and the ship came to a stop. Yosh, is this where the ship sunk? Yelled a monkey-looking man. Hi boss. Then prepare to raise the ship. That sunken ship is now the property of the boss of the Masira pirates. The Salvage King. Masira, shouted the monkey man. Nami sighed. Why'd all the weirdos show up when they are least needed? Hey you, what are you doing here? This is my territory. Territory? Yeah, any ships that sink in this area are mine. You better not be trying anything funny over there, yelled Masira. Excuse me, smiled Nami, getting an idea. Can I ask you a question? Masira blinked. Oh, you want to ask me a question? Very well, you may ask one. Are you going to salvage this ship? Hee hee, you must think I am monkeyed over. Monkey overed, blinked Nami confused. Yes, it means I am a handsome man. Don't you think so? Smiled Masira. Sure, liar, coughed Naruto. That earned him a punch to the head. Oh, you're too kind. Yes, I am going to salvage it. If the Re is a sunk ship, then I am the one who will raise it up. And if it is floating, then I will sink it, then pull it back up. Really? Can we watch? Smiled Nami with fake stars in her eyes. Masira smirked proudly. You want to watch? Very well, sit back and watch. There is no ship that my crew can't salvage. Naruto scratched the back of his head. I really want to destroy that monkey ornament. You know, just to see it explode and everything. Nami raised her fist and punched him straight into the deck. Don't even think about it. They are about to do all our hard work for us. If you screw this up, I will kill you. Naruto nodded vigorously before hiding behind Robin. She is scary, he thought. Jaya Island. They were unable to find anything of use on the sunken ship, but Robin did manage to Saint Eel an eternal log pose to the island of Jaya. There they would ask around to see if anyone knew about Sky Island. Naruto and Robin had left the ship together and were now walking through the town full of pirates. Everywhere they looked, people were fighting for absolutely no other reason than to fight. Robin glanced down at Naruto and wondered why he seemed so emotionless. She knew that he enjoyed a good fight more than anyone else in the crew. From the past 2 days she had been getting to know Naruto and now knew that he loved to fight strong people, and there were many of them there, so why is it he didn't join in on the fighting here? Why for that matter had he decided to travel with her instead of Luffy, Zoro, and Nami? He is exactly like Luffy. Impossible to read or predict. Yet at same time he could also be very much like Zoro when it came to training and always wanting to push past his current limits. Naruto truly is a unique individual. This town doesn't look like it has any good food at all. I bet they don't even have ramen, said Naruto randomly. It is a pirate town. All they care about is their own selfish desires. Come, I want to buy some new clothes before looking for information on Sky Island. smiled Robin. Hi, smiled Naruto. An hour later, they headed back to the ship. Robin wore a brand new purple outfit along with a purple hat and black high-heel boots. Naruto was carrying a couple more bags for her. They walked aboard the Going Merry to see Luffy and Zoro a little worse for wear. "Oi, what happened to you two?" asked Naruto curiously. He tilted his head as he looked at Zoro and Luffy. "Robin-chan," yelled Sanji. "Where have you two been?" demanded Nami angrily. "I went to buy some new clothes, provisions, and find information on Sky Island," smiled Robin. One of her hands appeared in front of Luffy and held a map in it. "Here you go, Captain. A treasure map," said Usopp. "It is a map of Jaya Island. Right now we are located in Mocktown. On the other side is an X where an outcast lives," she explained. "Outcast," said Luffy, Usopp, and Sanji. Robin smiled. "His name is Mont Blanc Cricket. He was outcast for spouting about his dreams. Makes sense, doesn't it?" Luffy smiled. Let's go." Naruto scratched the back of his head. He did not remember Robin asking anyone about a guy named Mont Blanc or purchasing a map. Well, he did dry fort off for a second to eat an apple from such strange man riding a horse. And then when he turned around, Robin came out of a bar where the other occupants ran away from her in fear. Nope, couldn't remember when she got that map. "Oi Naruto, you paying attention?" asked Usopp. "Huh, me, I'm fine, how are you?" smiled Naruto. Usopp sighed. Naruto and Luffy were much too similar. Mont Blanc Cricket's house. "Ah, what a rip-off," yelled Luffy. "Yeah, it's just a board, not a palace," yelled Naruto just as upset. They had arrived at the man's house to see this huge palace, but in truth it was just a large board in the design of a palace. It was actually just half a house. "Why was this man labeled an outcast?" asked Nami. "I don't know the whole story," admitted Robin, "but apparently he believed that there is a mountain of gold somewhere on Jaya Island." "Gold," smiled Nami with money signs in her eyes. "Hey, you never did tell me who beat you up. Was he strong? Should I got back there to kick his ass for picking on my punching bag?" asked Naruto. Zoro gained a tick and tried to punch Naruto in the face, but only phasing through him. "I am not your punching bag." Naruto blinked. "Oh, but you have never beat me in our spars. One day I will beat you. Hee, we will see about that," grinned Naruto, scratching the back of his head. Luffy, Zoro and Naruto turned around to see a large E-Man jumped out of the water after pulling Luffy into it. They were about to go help Sanji fight the man when he collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. "He's sick, get some cool towels," shouted Chopper, as he transformed into his hybrid form and carried him inside the house. Naruto and Zoro shrugged their shoulders as they sat back down. Chances are that was Mont Blanc Cricket, the man they were searching for. Neither of them were good when it came to asking civilly for answers, so they decided to leave that to the others. Nighttime. Luffy, Nami, Naruto, Usopp, and Chopper's eyes went wide as Mont Blanc revealed his gold treasure that he had found while diving. There were 3 golden ingots and a golden statue of a south bird. "Gold," smiled Nami with money signs in her eyes. "In ancient times many ships used to use south birds," smiled Masira. Suddenly Masira, his brother, and Mont Blanc gasped. "Oi, you all need to hurry into the forest and capture one of these birds," said Mont Blanc. Luffy blinked. "Why, you plan to ride the knockback stream tomorrow afternoon, right? It is directly south of here. How do you plan to reach it?" "Oi, we just sail south," said Luffy firmly. "This is the Grand Line." Nami's eyes widened. "Since we are not sailing to an island, we will have no way of knowing which direction we are heading in. How do we find it?" "Some animals have an innate sense of direction. A southbird is a prime example of this. No matter where it is or what happens, it will always point in the same direction. You can use this to find your way," said Mont Blanc. His eyes became hard. "If you don't find one, then you will miss your opportunity to get to Sky Island." "Ah, why didn't you tell us this sooner? Hurry, we have to find that bird." All the Straw Hats ran out into the woods. "You have until morning to find that bird. While you are searching for it, we will repair your ship," said Mont Blanc. A snoring sound came from behind them. The 3 turned and gasped as they saw Naruto sleeping peacefully on the mats inside the house. He continued to snore without a care in the world. Ha ha, how pathetic. The Tsuruyuma alliance is nothing but an old man and a couple of monkeys, laughed Sarkis. Mont Blanc coughed up some blood. You don't have the right to touch that treasure. Sarkis narrowed his eyes. The right? What do you know about the right? A true pirate doesn't go chasing after dreams. He takes what is his by force. Now I will show you the right. He ran forward and went into a rapid spin. Just as he was about to declare his attack, an orange BL stepped in front of Mont Blanc and stopped the blade. All of the Bellamy's pirates' eyes widened. Sarkis stood there froze in the air as Naruto held the blade between his fingers. With a twist of his wrist, the blade broke in half and Naruto tossed it aside. Oh, looks like we got a tough guy, smirked Bellamy before laughing. Naruto had a cold look in his eyes. He turned his back on Sarkis, not sparing him a second glance. That gold. Hand it over. It doesn't belong to you. Bellamy grinned widely before he started to laugh along with his crew. Doesn't belong to me, hey. If you want it, why don't you come and take it? Teach this punk a lesson, Bellamy. Yeah, stopping my blade was just a fluke, smirked Sarkis. You okay, old man? Asked Naruto, turning his back on the pirates. Montbel. ANC grunted as he rose to his knees, then sat down Indian style. Yeah, can't believe I allowed myself to get beat by some shitty-ass weaklings. They shared a smirk which pissed Bellamy off. Naruto d his back to the pirate who came straight at him. Bellamy reared back his fist and threw it forward. Naruto spun around, his own fist reared back and threw it forward. Their two fists collided against one another. A sickening crunching sound was heard. Every single bone in Bellamy's arm shattered upon contact and his arm bent all the way backward. Naruto raised his foot up and slammed it down on Bellamy's head. Bellamy hit the ground, forming a decent-sized crater. The entire crew of Bellamy pirates started to shake in fear as Bellamy lay on the ground, knocked out cold. Let's see, how do you like the taste of your own medicine? Naruto said to the knocked-out Bellamy. Bellamy, quit joking around and get up, yelled Sarkis, his body starting to shake in fear. Naruto looked up and straight at the remaining group. They all took a step back in fear at the cold look in his eyes. He reached down, picked up Bellamy, and tossed him at Sarkis. Bellamy hit the ground in front of his first mate. Leave. Never come back or you're next. Sarkis gritted his teeth as the others picked up Bellamy and ran away in fear, with him soon following. If there is one thing Naruto hated, it is people who looked down upon others. Bellamy didn't realize how lucky he had been to escape with his life. Not bad kid, though. What did mean by his own medicine? Smirked Mont Blanc, standing up. I am a mirror man. I just reflected back his punch with twice the force. Naruto smirked. Mont Blanc's eyes widened, realizing what the man in front of him could do. Naruto liking the look on the man's face. I see. The old man muttered. The two monkey brothers soon got up as well. Time to get back to working on the ship. Naruto yawned and stretched out his arms, smacking his lips together. Sure, what do we need to do? He asked. With that, they once again went back to work. Chapter 3. Demon Mirror. Naruto. Chapter 3. This is awesome, yelled Naruto. He hopped onto the railing and grinned widely. I can't believe it. We are actually sailing on clouds. Little did he know that a certain fox inside of him couldn't believe it either. Yosh, we made it to Sky Island, cheered Luffy with a large grin of his own. Naruto and Luffy started to do a celebratory dance. Nami couldn't believe her eyes either. They were actually sailing on an ocean of clouds. This should be impossible, yet here they were doing it. The log pose is still pointing up, she said. Then we must be right on top of the cloud. I am sure if we need to go higher, then another route will reveal itself, smiled Robin. Naruto grinned as he sat down on the railing. I didn't think this day could get any better. First I beat that punk, then I beat Zoro once. Again. Zoro glared at Naruto, fingering the hilt of his sword. And now we are sailing on the clouds. I can't wait to see Sky Island. The clouds started to shake, and out of the burst several sea monsters. Zoro charged forward, drawing his blades and slicing the octopus 4 times. To his surprise, it burst like a balloon instead of being separated into pieces. Sanji took care of the other with a kick to the head, knocking it out cold. Strange fish, blinked Usopp, hiding far away from the snake-like monster. Robin examined the fish. It seems that the fish in the clouds have adapted living in such an environment by making their bodies less dense. That would explain why that octopus popped like a balloon. Nodded Nami in agreement. Chopper looked through the binoculars and smiled. Oi, another ship. And a person. His eyes widened in horror as he watched the bull man destroy the ship. What did you see? Asked Zoro. The reindeer turned towards Zoro, shivering in fear. A ship, but then a bull blew it up. It is coming right towards us. Zoro raised eyebrow, thinking the reindeer had lost it. Look, yelled Luffy. There, coming right at them, was a man wearing a large bull mask and a pair of strange skates. He is gliding across the ocean, shouted Nami. If he wants a fight, I will give him one, smirked Sanji. That smirk didn't last long when the bull man slammed a foot into his face. He's mine, said Zoro, drawing his blade, but he too was soon hit before he could even move. Luffy had the same luck, much to Nami's shock. What is wrong with you three? Her eyes widened as the bull man took aim at their ship with his bazooka. Surprisingly, he just turned and started aiming in other direction. That was when she saw Naruto calmly smiling and looking towards that direction, finally understanding what had happened. He was just about to fire it when a man, dressed in knight's armor and carrying a javelin, knocked the bull man down into the ocean. The knight then landed on their ship, allowing her to have a good look at him. It was a skinny old man with a thin white beard and a bird she had never seen. Who are you? I am the Knight of the Sky, answered the old man, the bird squawking behind him. He retreated. Who was that attacked us? Asked Nami. She then turned to look at the four. What's more is what was up with that display. He beat all three of you. I thought you were supposed to be strong. It is probably the thin air up here, said Robin. Yeah, that seems about right, grunted Zoro, finally breathing regularly. Are you all blue sea dwellers? Asked the old knight, as he walked up to the second level of the ship. Blue sea dwellers, frowned Nami. The knight nodded. Yes. It is the term used to describe those that live beneath the clouds. So what do we call you then? Sky dweller, blinked Naruto. I am the Knight of Sky, a free mercenary of the skies. One whistle and I shall arrive to lend my aid for a reasonable price, that is, spoke the old knight. Kind of just ignores everyone, doesn't he? Pouted Naruto. Rob didn't much like how the knight had avoided their questions either, especially concerning the person who had attacked them. The knight soon left after saying that he would come the moment he heard the whistle and help them in any situation so long as they had the money to pay him. Not a very chivalrous knight. Sky Island, Angel Beach. Naruto was sitting on the beach enjoying watching the sun all the while thinking new ways to use his powers. He was strong, more than anyone in the crew, and he knew that, but you could never be too strong now, can you? If he wanted to complete his dream, then he had to be strong. He couldn't compromise with that. His nakama had followed the beautiful young woman, Kanis, to her home to learn more about this place. Honestly, he didn't really care to learn the history, items, or any of that. All he wanted to do is enjoy his time here. Naruto. He turned his head to see Sanji running towards him with the others not far behind. Naruto. Where is Nami Swan? Yelled Sanji. She is behind. Naruto blinked as he pointed at nothing but open cloud ocean. He tilted his head and frowned. Where did Nami-san go? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Yelled Sanji, grabbing Naruto by the shirt and shaking him. Naruto gained swirls in his eyes. I mean, I don't know where she went. Sanji dropped Naruto and started to yell all over for Nami. Oi, we can use the waiver, said Usopp. Yosh, I shall ride it. Luffy picked up the old broken down looking waiver. They all watched as he stupidly tried to activate it but nearly sunk into the ocean. Luffy, yelled Chopper. A few minutes later, Kanis and her father were trying to fix the waiver while the others brought Naruto up to date. So, there is a sacred land called Upper Yard, and a god lives there, said Naruto. Hi, or that is the story at least, nodded Zoro. A god, probably someone with a devil fruit, laughed Naruto. That would make more sense, said Robin. Zoro had to agree. Chances are it was something with very powerful devil fruit abilities. It wouldn't be the first time such a thing had happened. Oi, all turned to look at Luffy. Who are those guys crawling towards us? Sure enough, Around 7 men with wings on their backs and wearing similar uniforms were crawling on the grounds towards them. Probably perverts, deadpanned Usopp. Oh, so that is a pervert, said Chopper. The men continued to crawl towards them. Heisu, said the leader, making a type of bunny ears with his fingers. Heisu, replied Kanes and her father. What are you saying? Frowned Luffy. You Blue Sea dwellers. You are the 8 people who have illegally trespassed on Sky Island. The man held out pictures of each of them. How did he get pictures of us? Wondered Naruto, looking around. Why is he calling us illegal entrants? Asked Sanji. A more appropriate question. I think it is because we didn't pay the entrance fee. It seems that old woman led us through without telling us that doing so would make us trespassers. Said Robin. Usopp hid behind Zoro in fear, not wanting to go to jail. We the White Berets are responsible for upholding the law. You did not pay the immigration fee. Therefore you violated a Class 11 crime. It is a simple matter that can be settled if you pay 10 times the fee right now. 70 billion extol, said the captain of the White Berets. Naruto sat down on the ground. No way. This place is cool and everything, but I am not paying that much. Wait, we don't even know how much that is. Excuse me, how much is that in berry? Asked Usopp, not wanting any trouble. That will be 7,000. 000 berry, said the captain calmly. Nani, shouted Luffy. Sanji released a puff of smoke. Way too much. Yea, we will not pay that much, but maybe you can keep Zoro with you for a while. You know he can take you anywhere you want to go. He is really good with directions and strong too. Maybe you can keep him as a bodyguard. Naruto said, laughing. This caused the rest of the crew to laugh too. Ever since Naruto got to know about Zoro's horrible sense of direction, he had been using it to tease Zoro. Much to the swordsman's ire. I am going to kill you. Zoro started to chase Naruto around with his sword. The captain of the White Berets cleared his throat, using a weapon while on Angel Beach. That is a Class 8 crime. He looked around and noticed that they were missing the 8th person. Hiding the 8th individuals, that is a Class 7 crime. Oi! I am getting tired of you talking. I am going to kick your ass, shouted Luffy angrily. Usopp grabbed Luffy. He is just kidding. Nami-san will be back shortly and then we will gladly pay the fee. No way, I am not paying no fee. I am with Luffy. Let's kick his ass, yelled Naruto. Get back here, shouted Zoro, swinging and missing Naruto. Nothing but cloud, laughed Naruto before ducking down to avoid losing his head. Guys, Nami Swan, my love, see there she is now. Nami, we need 7 million. Berry to pay for the fee to be released of our criminal charges. Yelled Usopp. 7 million berry. A dark look appeared in Nami's eyes. The captain of the White Berets' eyes widened as the waver Nami was riding crashed right into him. That is too much. No, yelled Usopp, his jaw hitting the clouds. A sound of bodies hitting the ground were heard and Usopp turned to see Naruto standing over the remaining White Berets. Each were knocked out cold and sporting multiple bruises. What are you doing? Yelled Usopp and Nami. What? I thought we were beating them up. You took out the captain, blinked Naruto. Idiot, yelled Nami, hitting Naruto over the head. This is not good, gasped Kanes's father. Attacking the White Berets is a Class 2 crime. Now you will be judged by the god Enel. No, has ever survived the judgment of our god Enel and the 4 priests. Kanes had a grim look in her eyes. Zoro, said Naruto with a hard look. Yeah, this is no job for someone with a horrible sense of direction. What would we do if you got lost and suddenly fell directly into the Grand Line? If you stay here with Usopp you will be safe, said Naruto, placing a hand on Zoro's shoulder. Zoro's eyes started to twitch as Naruto gave him that look. Let us handle this, god. Be safe, my friend. Be safe, he whispered. I'll kill you. Break. The Straw Hats now find themselves in the of a lake with Mary standing on some kind of altar. In the middle of the forest. Recently, they just invaded the forest island known as the Upper Yard, with somehow now finding themselves in this situation. The crew decides to split and search something about this god Enel they keep hearing about, with Robin taking off after reading the poneglyph she found in hopes of finding something of the history. Nami took off with her when she heard something about the treasure. The rest just went on their own. The only one staying on the ship were Naruto and Chopper, with former looking closely at a piece of mirror and the later once again on a medicine. That was when they heard a noise and saw a huge bird with a man sitting on its back. Naruto blinked a few times and then smirked. "Oh yeah, things just got interesting," he said as he stood up and walked towards the edge of the ship towards the man. "Is this all? I had been hoping for more," said the man with a disappointed look in his eyes. "Naruto, help," yelled Chopper. "Why are you screaming so loud?" "I am right here," Naruto said as Chopper came and stood beside him. The little reindeer pointed at the stranger that had showed up. "Oi, are you this god I keep hearing about?" Fusa flew above Naruto, opened its mouth, and released a torrent of flames straight at Naruto. "Naruto," yelled Chopper. Naruto jumped straight into the air and delivered a kick to Fusa's face, but the bird. Naruto grinned as he fully unsheathed his sword. "Got you," smiled Naruto. Now that Chopper for the first time saw the blade, he was awed. The blade was long and light blue in color along with some gray at the edges. It had a cross-shaped silver guard and its handle was dark blue in color, the same color sheath. All in all, it looked a beautiful blade. Chopper's eyes widened in awe. He had never seen Naruto fight like this. Luffy fought using brute force, Zoro using 3 swords, and Sanji with powerful kicks. Yet Naruto fought a bit more elegantly, or that is how it looked. Each move he took was perfectly calculated without wasting a single bit of energy. Naruto had a smile on his face as he fought with Shura, yet never truly attacking back. Cuts started to appear all over Shura's body, showing that the superior fighter using melee weapons is obviously Naruto. He is enjoying the fight, prolonging it on purpose, thought Chopper with wide eyes. That's when he realized that Naruto had yet to use his devil fruit powers, unlike others who just rely on the devil fruit all the time. Grinned Naruto. "Hey, do you think you can tell me where I can find this god at? Kill something for no reason. I don't want to spar with a person like that," said Naruto, lowering his sword. And with that he threw the small mirror he was looking at earlier at his enemy. The mirror slowly flipping towards Shura. Shura clenched his fists as he rose back up to his feet. He jumped up and landed on Fusa's back, flying around Naruto. "You will die at my hands. Now watch closely as you face the ordeal." "Oh, huh?" asked Shura as looked into the mirror. He suddenly vanished. Chopper was gobsmacked at the current happening and turned towards Naruto, wanting to ask when he saw Naruto had vanished too. "Naruto, ooh." A few seconds later Naruto reappeared, Chopper instantly latching onto him. "Naruto. Was that? I was scared," he shouted. "Sorry Chopper, the last technique I used was a bit destructive and Mary could have gotten hurt, so I took him somewhere else," Naruto replied. Though Chopper wanted to ask where he went, Naruto cut him off. "Maybe would just him later on. Come on, let's wait for others. They should be back in a while," he said as they both went to the other side of the lake to wait. Chopper was really excited and a bit scared for the coming things in his pirate life, but for now he could not wait to tell others about Naruto's awesomeness. Chapter 4. Demon Mirror. Naruto. Chapter 4. Aisa's eyes widened as she fell into the tent containing the leaders of the Shandians. They all looked at her curiously. She came to a stop in front of Wiper. The leader of the Shandians sat in his chair with a bazooka in his hands and an emotionless look in his eyes. "Aisa, what is wrong with you?" asked Lackey. "Two voices have just disappeared," said the girl with wide eyes. "Two voices," repeated Lackey. "Hi. Both were priests," said Aisa. Everyone knew that Aisa had T power of mantra, an ability that allowed her to sense other people. Wiper stood up. "It seems the heavens favor us. Now is the perfect opportunity to strike." The others nodded in agreement and followed Wiper out of the tent. Aisa ran up to Lackey. "Wait Lackey, they were taken out by the outsiders." Lackey kept an emotionless expression. "You mean the Blue Sea dwellers?" Aisa nodded her head. "It matters not. All that matters is that we don't fail in taking out the remaining two. Then we will deal with the outsiders." A worried look appeared in Aisa's eyes. Those outsiders were strong, very strong from what she sensed. Usopp, Luffy, and Sanji. "Oi, where are we now?" "Looks like a swamp," smiled Luffy. "This is no normal swamp. Look at all the skull heads," yelled Usopp, shivering in fear. Sanji It another cigarette as he looked at all the skulls. This is probably another ordeal. Usopp froze at hearing that. They had already just barely overcame the ordeal of balls and defeating that priest Satori. Nani, which ordeal is it thought? Swamp, iron, string, shivered Usopp. We are in a swamp, stated Sanji. It could be iron, suggested Luffy. Sanji and Usopp shook their heads. An explosio. N was heard and they all turned to see 3 individuals flying towards them. They had tattoo marking on their bodies and were flying through the air via waiver skates. The leader had tan brown skin with a mohawk and carried a large bazooka. As he passed by the Straw Hat Pirates, he took aim with his bazooka and fired. We are going to die, yelled Usopp. Luffy took a deep breath and expanded his body. Gomu Gomu no Fusen. The bazooka cannon bounced off his stomach and shot into the woods, exploding harmlessly away from them. Paramesha, said the Shandian who fired the shot. Oi, why are you shooting at us? Get down here so I can kick your ass. Luffy, yelled Usopp, holding his friend back. Blue Sea Dwellers, heed this warning, leave this island and return to where you came, warned the Shandian. If you do not, then I will have no choice but to eliminate you all. What was that? You want to fight? Bring it on. I'll kick your ass. Sacrificial altar. You really love fighting, don't you, Naruto? I saw you were smiling all the while, asked Chopper. Yep, that's right, Naruto replied. Yo Naruto, we are back, shouted Zoro. Over here, yelled Naruto, waving at them from the other side. Nami, Robin, and Zoro all arrived at the makeshift camp. They looked around the area and saw it looked like a battlefield. Nami frowned. She turned to look at Naruto. What happened? A priest attacked us. I beat him. Then I got hungry. Decided to go fishing. Then Naruto never finished when Nami hit him over the head. I get it, smartass, growled Nami. A sheepish grin appeared on Naruto's face. Hey guys, we found you. All turned to see Luffy, Usopp, and Sanji. They had just come down the river on a boat. Nighttime filled the island and the entire crew were sitting around the fire with Naruto and Luffy eating the delicious sky shark. So, what did you all find out? Asked Nami, looking at Sanji. The cook lit his cigarette and took a puff before answering. We faced this priest, Satori, who used surprise balls to attack us. Not only that, but he could predict our movements using something called mantra, explained Sanji. Mantra, huh? That dude I was fighting was predicting my attacks too, Naruto said. Sanji glanced at him. Did you try getting any information from him? Chopper spoke up. No. Naruto just beat him somewhere. I wonder who exactly this god is, muttered Zoro. I am sure we will find out in time, said Robin. Nami spoke next. We found out that this island here is a part of Jaya. This is the island that Norland, Mont Blanc's ancestor, spoke of, that contained the mountain of gold. Luffy's eyes lit up. Gold. Yosh, this is great. We can find this gold. The others smirked. Wouldn't be much of pirates if we didn't go searching for treasure now, would we? Smirked Sanji. Break. Naruto landed on the ground and looked around him. Lying on the ground knocked out cold were 3 goat-looking people in white robes and about 5 warriors with tattoos all over their bodies. He had no idea who they were, but they had attacked him and each other. It seemed a war is going on the island and he and his nakama got stuck right in the middle of it in their search for the gold of Jaya Island. A grin appeared on his face, that suited him just fine. Fighting always made the adventure more exciting. I hope the others are okay, thought Naruto. They had split up into 2 groups. Sanji, Nami, Usopp, and that old man, Knight of Sky, made up the first group and were heading toward the coast in the Going Merry. That knight had shown up last night when Luffy started to blow the whistle for fun during the campfire celebration. When he learned of their plan, he had decided to tag along and offer his help. Naruto, Luffy, Zoro, Robin, and Chopper made up the second group. Or they had until a giant venomous snake attacked them and they ended up splitting up from each other. Now Naruto is traveling on his own with really no clue on which is the right way to go. Elsewhere, Chopper panted heavily as he had done it. He had finally become a true pirate by defeating the priest Getatasu and overcoming the ordeal of the swamp. Instead of running away, he had been brave and fought. He had finally overcome his fear. Why are you so scared? asked Naruto kneeling down in front of Chopper. I'm not scared, gulped Chopper. Naruto grinned, you shouldn't be scared, Chopper. We all believe in your strength, you just need to believe in it too. I believed, and I was able to win, said Chopper looking over at the fallen priest. Luffy, Naruto, and the rest of his nakama. They were all probably headed to the City of Gold. That is where he would head. He would meet them there instead of looking for them. A smile appeared on Chopper's face as he started to make his way towards the City of Gold. Zoro, why the hell do you keeping following me? Shouted Zoro. The giant Southbird just kept staring at him before chasing after him as he ran. Zoro gritted his teeth in anger. Damn bird. Bad enough he had to deal with Naruto, who kept constantly bringing up his higher bounty. Now he had some dumbass bird that kept following him around. This is all Naruto's fault. He didn't know how, but he just knew that the bastard had something to do with this. Next time he saw him, he was going to kick his ass. Naruto vs. Jinbu. A group of 7 enforcers fell to the ground knocked out cold. Naruto dusted off his pants and sighed. Man, these guys sure were weak. Why did he always get the weak ones? He grumbled about Luffy taking all the good opponents before walking off. An iron cannonball came at him from above and Naruto looked up just in time to get hit by it, causing a massive explosion. Blue Sea Dweller, you should have left while you had the chance, sigh. A large man holding a modified bazooka and standing on a branch high above Naruto. The dust and smoke cleared to reveal one pissed off Naruto. He hated sneak attacks. Bastard, I am going to kick your ass for that, said Naruto calmly. Take this, shouted Jinbu, firing another iron cannonball. Naruto jumped up, landing on the cannonball and then using it as another platform to jump up. Jinbu's eyes widened as Naruto appeared in front of him, then kicked him across the face. The fat Shandian warrior went crashing into the ground. That is what you get for sneaking up on me, smirked Naruto, calming down a bit. Jinbu gritted his teeth as he rose to his feet. Milky Dial. A river of clouds formed and Jinbu used his waver skates to ride it. Naruto's eyes widened. That is so cool. An IR. On cannonball came at him from the side and he quickly jumped off the branch to avoid being hit. He unsheathed his sword and brought it to eye level. Mirror Blade 16 Reflection Cut. With that saw it, he swung his sword and slowly sheathed the blade. Jinbu's eyes widened in surprise before he hit the ground with cuts all over his body. Axe Mountain. Naruto turned his head to see the fattest and he had ever met about to squash him like a pancake. Hell no. He once again raised his blade and thrusted it upwards. Yama's eyes widened and his mouth coughed up blood as a blade buried itself in his large stomach. Jinbu looked on shocked from his position on the ground. Yama, the chief enforcer of the enforcers, had just been defeated by a single strike by a Blue Sea Dweller. Who were these Blue Sea Dwellers? Man, if anyone finds out that 2 men weighing at least 400 pounds were able to sneak up on me, that'll be the end of it, thought Naruto, shaking his head. Seems like he still had some training to do in paying attention to his environment. Inside the monster of the sky. We were eaten, cried Nami. A giant snake had ate her, the Knight of the Sky, Gonfall, and Isa. Why did this happen to her? She is a cute and beautiful girl with a great sense of fashion. Things like this weren't supposed to happen to her. We must find a way out before it is too late. I fear and if we do not, then whatever Enel is planning will destroy Skypia, said Gonfall. Isa glared hatefully at Gonfall. He is one of the people that is responsible for the continued war between her people and Skypia. If only him and Enel never existed, then Lackey and the others wouldn't be fighting. How do we get out of a giant snake? Yelled Nami. The same way we got in, answered Gonfall calmly. There is someone else here, said Isa, hiding behind Nami. Gonfall and Nami turned to a shadow of someone walking towards them. Nami, are you lost in these ruins too? Luffy came out of the shadows with a large smile. Luffy, smiled Nami. Wait a minute, did he just say ruins? Baka, you got ate by the snake too. And you didn't even realize it. Oi snake, where? Nami punched Luffy over the head. Idiot. Chandra. Robin entered the center of the city and found nothing. She betrayed no emotion as she looked over the area yet could find no sign of the Golden Bell. Did it make it up to the sky or was it still sea level? If it was then the poneglyph would be down there with it not here. Robin-chan. She turned around to see Naruto walking towards her. Naruto-san, nodded Robin. So, did you find the gold? I really hope so. I think I have seen enough of this island, grinned Naruto. No, the gold is not here. Naruto face faulted. Nani? No gold. Anime-style tears fell down Naruto's face much to Robin's amusement. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just isn't here, she clarified. Oh, blinked Naruto, the tears disappearing. So where is it? I don't know. Naruto face faulted again. He then stood up and gave Robin a critical look. She raised an eyebrow as he got right in her face. You're not looking for the gold, are you? She remained emotionless as ever. Are you implying something? Yep. Robin smiled. At least he is honest. She could at least recuperate the gesture. I am looking for a golden bell that will lead me to a poneglyph I know is here. Naruto turned and started walking. Meh. Fine, let's go looking for it. Oh, going to lend me your aid? Smiled Robin. Sure. This poneglyph seems to make you happy. That is more than enough reason for me to want to help. Replied Naruto, looking around at the ruins. He never saw the surprised look in Robin's eyes at his comment. Her eyes softened. A new voice interrupted them in their search. Oh, I see why. Oh, you have found the city that the Shandians are fighting so hard to get back. Both turned to see a tall man with very long earlobes and what looked to be 4 drums above his head in a semicircle. Who are you? Asked Robin. She noticed the way Naruto's eyes seemed to narrow, but was still calm, like he was confident enough to beat him. I am God, smiled the man. Delusional much, grinned Naruto. The man raised his hand, it becoming charged with electricity. A cloud of electricity formed over Naruto. Robin's eyes widened as the bolt came down. Naruto did a backflip, just barely avoided being electrocuted. Lightning. That explains what happened to those burned bodies I found. They weren't burnt but electrocuted. That means you must be this Enel the priest worship, smirked Naruto, bracing himself for one more interesting fight. Not to mention that powerful column of blue lightning he saw earlier. Impressive, but ultimately futile. All those who defy God must be eliminated, smiled Enel. It has almost been 3 hours since the games began. Only 7 contestants remain. 8 more minutes until the 3-hour mark. Naruto gritted his teeth. A game? You consider this all to be a game? Looks like I will have to beat some senses into you then. He started draw out his blade. Enel smiled in amusement. Confident are we? Interesting, but pointless. I think I will join you with tea. He rest of your nakama before I end this game with the 5 I prophesized. Naruto and Robin tensed as Enel raised his hand and started to sparkle with lightning. In a blast so powerful, he unleashed a familiar column of lightning that destroyed the cloud and ground above them. Debris started to rain down. In a blink of an eye, Naruto grabbed Robin, carrying her bridal style as he moved around dodging the debris. A few minutes later, it had all fallen to the ground. Naruto placed Robin down and looked around for Enel but could not find him. Looks like I have no choice but use it then, though I wonder. Yay, Luffy wanted to beat him, didn't he? Well, looks like I know what to do. Naruto thought calmly. Shit, I almost died, said a familiar voice. Naruto and Robin turned to see Zoro pushing off a particularly large piece of debris while holding a severely injured Chopper. That wasn't good. The doctor that healed them was injured. Oh, it's you guys, said Zoro, walking over to them. They didn't get a chance to say anything when a loud roar of pain was heard. All turned to see the giant snake get fried by a very powerful bolt of lightning and dropped to the ground fried. Shit, how am I going to save Nami now? Zoro. The swordsman turned to see Nami hiding behind a piece of debris. What are you doing out here? He yelled. I escaped with Gonfall, but Luffy and Isa are still inside, said Nami, worried. How did Luffy get inside the snake? Asked Naruto. That idiot. Can't take your eyes off him for a second, grumbled Zoro. I believe we have more important matters to deal with, said Robin, her eyes located on a figure in the distance. They're sitting on a large piece of the ruins is none other than Enel with that annoying smile on his face. Stay hidden, said Naruto as the 3 walked over to the man. Nami didn't need to be told twice. Careful, he is a Logia with lightning. Zoro nodded. Suddenly Naruto started removing his cloak, scarf and his shirt leaving him just in his shoes and pants. Gloves and necklace. He gave them to Robin, Chopper and Nami to wear. They all looked at him questioningly. He just told them to wear them, saying them that it will help. Bin couldn't but notice the still calm on his face. Robin, Naruto, Zoro, Wiper, and Gonfall all stood in front of Enel. The so-called god smirked as he looked down upon them. 3 minutes until the 3-hour mark. Where I prophesied that only 5 would remain. Yet 7 of you are here. Nami's eyes widened as she realized he knew that she is hiding with Chopper. It seems that 2 of you must go. Any volunteers, or do I choose? I didn't want to fight you, but looks like I will have to till Luffy comes. Naruto charged forward with his sword. Enel smirked as he spun his golden staff. He raised it, blocking a strike from Naruto. You still don't believe in the existence of God. I shall have to show it to you. Enel reformed on Naruto's right. His hands were shoulder length apart and lightning started to spark between them. 20 million volt. The lightning bolt hit Naruto directly but just passed through him, and then he vanished. Enel was shocked by this, thinking he was another Logia. What was that? A devil fruit? Enel asked. Hi. I ate the Kagami no I am a mirror man. Naruto replied. A paramesha, but how did you phase through my attack? He questioned. You just don't expect me to reveal my secrets, do you? Though if you want answers, then what you are talking to is a mirage, just like the one you hit. Enel's eyes widened when the voice from behind him and the Naruto in front him vanished. He turned just in time to receive a cut across his chest which made everyone's eyes wide. How? I am a swordsman and the tip of my handle is made from rubber, so I cut you with it. At his both Zoro's and Enel's eyes widened at the blonde's skill. And looks like only 2 minutes are left. Naruto said. 2 minutes, said Enel with an amused look. Yeah, 2 minutes. It has been a minute since you claimed to have prophesied only 5 people remaining on the island. If I last 2 minutes, then I prove you wrong and all will know you are no god. Enel's eyes narrowed. As stupid as it sounded to the others, Naruto knew that to Enel that being wrong is something he would refuse at all costs. It would prove that he couldn't preordain things like he claimed and shatter the image of God he had set up. Enel was very much pissed at that and started to charge another attack. If that's the case, then I will just destroy you all at once. He roared. Stop. If you destroy this land, then you will never find that which you seek, said Robin. Oh, you must mean the golden bell. There is no need to worry about that. I have already deduced from your movements where it is, smiled Enel. Robin's eyes widened as she suddenly realized herself where it probably is. You thought that such information that I bow to your whims. I hate manipulative women. Enel pointed his finger right at Robin. Her eyes widened as a bolt of lightning headed straight her, but it just went into her, or, no, it went into the cloak. Zoro, Nami, and Robin's eyes widened at the happening. What happened? Nami stuttered. Those things I gave you all have a piece of mirror in them, and they are all connected to me, or rather a different place only I can access. Naruto told them. They all turned towards him, their eyes widened, seeing as Naruto was covered a stance with his eyes shadowed. Shocking was the fact that his sword was covered in lightning, or more specifically Enel's lightning. Just now you were fighting me, but then you suddenly attacked my nakama. This is not how men fight. You are going to pay, he said. With that, Naruto slashed his blade upwards. And then right before slowly sheathing his blade, broken mirror silent mirage, suddenly cuts started appearing all over Enel's body, though if you looked closely they were all non-lethal. Surprison. No sound came even though it looked like he was screaming. Maybe that was the silent part. Everybody was shocked at seeing Naruto's power for the first time. Only Zoro saw what had really happened. The blonde had somehow created a vacuum, making Enel unable to transform, thus cutting him. Unknown to Zoro, what Naruto had really done was create an illusion of a vacuum, thus confusing Enel and not transforming. Nami couldn't believe it. Naruto had just defeated a man with more than enough power to destroy all Skypia, and they were thinking of picking fight with him in the beginning. Feeling a surge of power, she looked that Enel was going to use another attack, this one more powerful than before. She saw Naruto going towards a tree and sat calmly. What was he doing? How dare you? I will destroy you. Enel shouted. Gomu no pistol. A fist came from Enel's left and the god didn't even bother to dodge. That was his first mistake as it connected with his jaw and sending him flying. Nami. And Robin's eyes widened, not believing that Luffy had been able to land a solid blow. Oi, no one harms my nakama, yelled Luffy angrily. About time you showed up, Captain, grinned Naruto. Another insect. I grow tired of this. 20,000. 000 volt Vari. A blast of electricity hit Luffy, who didn't move or anything. That smirk on Enel's face didn't last long when Luffy stood there completely unharmed. Of course, whispered Nami, but Naruto heard her from his spot. Rubber doesn't conduct electricity. Lightning attacks won't work against Luffy. They are natural enemies. What? Impossible, gasped Enel. Luffy ran forward and Enel stood still, thinking that first blow had been a fluke. Gomu Gomu no pistol. Luffy's fist buried itself inside Enel's stomach. Enel flew back into one of the ruins and an explosion of debris occurred. Naruto. Who is this guy? Yelled Luffy. Just a bastard that is trying to prevent us from getting our gold. Oh, and he wants to destroy Skypiea, answered Naruto calmly. Take our gold. I'll kick his ass. Nami smiled. If not Naruto, then Luffy just might be able to beat Enel. Enel appeared behind Luffy via his lightning and slammed his staff down on his head. If lightning won't work, then I will beat you by other. Luffy kicked Enel in the chest, sending the god skidding backwards. I'm a rubber man. Physical and lightning attacks won't work, said Luffy, a hard look in his eyes. This man had harmed his nakama. He would kick his ass for that. Yeah, nodded Luffy. Idiot. Don't tell him that, yelled Nami. Luffy tried his best to land a hit, but Enel used mantra to predict his movements. Damn it, he is predicting my movements, cursed Luffy. The pirate quickly dived to the side as the trident slammed down into the ground where he had just been standing. Insolent mortal, the fate of Skypiea will not be denied, smirked Enel. Gomu Gomu no Gatling gun. Enel easily weaved in and out of the punches before grabbing each arm. He then swung Luffy a round before slamming him into one of the ancient buildings. Don't forget about me, yelled Zoro as he finally made his move. Enel tilted his head and kicked him. This happened a few more times. Luffy, get your ass up. I can't beat him alone, yelled Zoro. Luffy stood up and charged forward Enel, who had been sent flying by that last kick. Gomu Gomu no bazooka. Enel's eyes widened in pain as Luffy landed a devastating blow on him. A blood sprayed out his mouth. Naruto smirked as Enel headed back his way and raised his leg up. When the god got in range, he slammed it down on top of Enel's head, knocking him straight down into the ground. Luffy jumped into the air above Enel. Gomu Gomu no Gatling gun. Blow after blow rained down upon the self-proclaimed god. Luffy stood looking down at the god as Naruto came by his side. Good job there, Luffy. By the way, where the hell were you? Inside the snake, smiled Luffy. Naruto grinned and started to laugh as he fell to his ass. Luffy started to laugh as well. Nami fell to her knees with tears of relief in her eyes. They had done it. Those idiots had really done it. Robin smiled as well. Yosh, I'm starving. A thud sound was heard and A.L.L. looked down to see Zoro lying on the ground out cold. He started to snore lightly. Nighttime. Campfire celebration. Naruto laughed as he sat in front of the fire drinking some Sky Island wine. The Shandians and Sky people had finally called a truce after Robin had led Luffy to the Golden Bell at the top of the giant beanstalk, or giant jack as they called it. Luffy had rung it several times for all to hear before accidentally knocking it over and back down into the ancient ruins of the City of Gold. Incidentally, the Golden Bell landed on the priest's former homes where Luffy and Robin found tons of food to eat. Hence the reason for a campfire, as it is a rule among the Straw Hat Pirates that whenever they camped out they had to have a campfire. Even the master of the sky, or giant snake as Naruto referred to him as, is celebrating with them. The young pirate winced in pain. Damn, laughing never hurt so much. Not to mention these bandages wrapped around his arms really sucked. Careful, don't want to reopen your wounds, smiled Robin, taking a seat next to him. Meh, just a flesh wound is all, grinned Naruto. Robin smiled as she watched everyone celebrate. Thank you. No problem. Do you know why I am thanking you? Not a clue. She laughed a bit. Such a strange man. The will of D is very strong in Naruto and Luffy. It was a sight to behold. That's it for now. I hope you guys like it. Please review your opinions and you are also free to suggest anything you want regarding the story. Thank you. Chapter 5. Demon Mirror Naruto Chapter 5. All around there was nothing but vast blue sea. The only thing that could be seen over the horizon was a single ship. This ship was none other than the Going Merry. It has been a week since the Straw Hats departed from the Sky Island. Unfortunately for them, they just landed in a marine fort and had to fight their way out, which proved to be a hard task, and Mary too was now in a bad shape. They were going to the next island in hopes of finding a shipwright there. "What you making?" asked Naruto. Chopper turned to look at Naruto, who sat in the chair next to his table looking at him. "I am making a medicinal herb that helps fight infections." Naruto tilted his head. "It is very good to use on large cuts and gashes." The reindeer turned his head to see Naruto was nowhere in sight. A sweat drop appeared on Chopper's head. Naruto walked around on the deck and wondered what he could do next. He turned to see Zoro training with weights. "Nah, I don't feel like sparring right now." His eyes then fell upon Nami, who was at the helm. Nope, didn't feel like being tricked into doing something for her. She was always able to get him to do something for her. Robin turned the page in her book. She was about to continue reading when a shadow fell over the page. "Hello Naruto-kun," smiled Robin, not bothering to turn to see who it is. What you reading, Robin-chan?" asked Naruto curiously. "A book." She giggled as Naruto pouted cutely. He is so easy to tease. "That's mean, Robin-chan." He gave her a light glare. "I am afraid I don't know what you are talking about, Naruto-kun," smiled Robin. "Lunch is ready," shouted Sanji. "Food," grinned Naruto before running off. Robin closed her book and laughed a bit at his antics. One day she hoped to better understand him. Break. The crew burst out laughing as Luffy and Naruto fell flat on their faces. "Give it up. You two just don't have the skill necessary to operate those things," laughed Nami. Naruto and Luffy steeled their resolve as they jumped to their feet. Each of them had waver skates on their feet. Naruto had stole a couple from the Shandians during the survival games. He really wanted to learn how to use them so he could skate on the surface of the ocean. "I will learn how to use them," swore Naruto with a determined look. "Yosh, let's do it." The breath dials activated and Luffy immediately slammed into the mast. Naruto managed to avoid the mast and smirked as he turned, but then hit the railing of the deck and fell over into the water. Fortunately, a pair of hands grabbed him and he looked to see two arms growing out of the side of the ship. "Arigato, Robin-chan," grinned Naruto before being tossed back on deck. Robin gave a small smile as she returned to her book. Luffy and Naruto tried a couple more times. That is until Luffy ran into Zoro one too many times and the swordsman started to chase them around with his swords. Then they ended up running into Sanji, who was trying to woo Nami with sweet desserts. Naruto and Luffy stole the desserts and soon were being chased by Sanji and Zoro. "Delicious," smiled Luffy, stuffing his face. "Almost as good as ramen. Get back here so I can kill you. You'll die for eating the desserts I made for Nami Swan and Robin Kwan." Naruto grinned as he hid behind Robin. "Help me, Robin-chan." Sanji had a heart in his eye. "Please stand aside so I made kick the crap out him for stealing your dessert, Robin Kwan." "Tell him you didn't want the dessert," whispered Naruto. "Actually, a nice treat does sound nice," smiled Robin. A horror-filled look appeared in Naruto's eyes and Sanji had fire in his eye. "Nah!" Naruto screamed as he ran even faster to get away from Sanji. Minutes later, both Naruto and Luffy lie on the ground with multiple bruises. Unpopulated island. The Straw Hat Pirates landed on an empty island. They immediately set to foraging for food and, in Chopper's case, medicinal herbs. They had gathered everything they needed. They started to look for a nice spot to set up camp. As they walked through the woods, none of them failed to notice a strange line in the dirt. "What caused this line?" asked Chopper curiously. "Looks like a bike track," said Naruto pensively. He started to get a bad feeling about this. Like something on this island was waiting for them. Or someone. "Yeah, but isn't the island supposed to be unpopulated?" stated Zoro. "Look, a clearing," shouted Luffy. Nami narrowed her eyes upon something sticking out of the top of a large boulder in the middle of that clearing. "What is that?" "I'll get it." Chopper ran towards it with a large smile. "Oi, Chopper is tryin'." G to keep that large mushroom all to himself, yelled Luffy. Chopper ran around the boulder but fell backwards as he ran into something. You okay, Chopper? Asked Usopp. They all turned to see what had happened. There standing behind the boulder is a very tall black man, at least 10 feet tall, wearing a blue and purple outfit. The man slowly woke up and turned to look at the. Oi! What is going on? Yawned the man as he looked upon them. Who are you? Yelled Luffy. A gasp escaped Robin as she fell to her behind in surprise. Her eyes were wide with fear as she looked upon the man. Zoro grabbed the hilt of his sword and Naruto had a bone sword slowly coming out of each palm. You, Luffy, Nami, Chopper, and Usopp all looked at Robin while the other three kept their eyes on the man. None of Hem had ever seen Robin show any type of fear, let alone this amount. Robin, it has been a long time, stated the man calmly. Who is this man? Nami asked, fearing the answer. This man is one of the greatest powers in the world. Marine Base Admiral Aokiji. Robin continued to stare at the man in fear, memories of the past resurfacing that she had long since buried. Naruto, hearing that, was oddly smiling. An admiral, he is that high-ranked, said Sanji, narrowing his eyes. There are only 3 men who hold the title of admiral, started Robin, unable to control her heavy breathing as she looked upon Aokiji. Akainu, the red dog. Aokiji, blue pheasant. Kizaru, yellow monkey. Only the Marine's top fleet Admiral Sengoku can command them. He's one of the world government's 3 greatest powers. What is a man like that doing here? Yelled Usopp, trembling in fear. Admiral Aokiji looked down at Nami. Ararara. What is it? Wondered Nami, trying to remain calm. Another super hot captivating babe, said Aokiji, leaning down to get a better view of Nami. What the hell do you think you are doing? Demanded Sanji angrily. Aokiji threw up his hands. Cool down, guys. I only came out here for a walk is all. He looked at Luffy and gained a contemplative look. Aren't you that? Well. They all waited. Naruto narrowed his eyes in anger. This man was purposely toying with them, and why not? Though he hated to admit it. They were no match for an admiral. Not even Enel could compare to the power of an admiral. I forgot. Never mind. Sanji and Usopp face faulted. Are you sure you have the right man, Robin? There is no way this man can be a marine admiral, yelled Usopp. Oi! Don't judge people on their appearance, sighed Aokiji. My motto as a marine is justice with laziness. We can see that, yelled Sanji and Usopp. Admiral Aokiji lied down on the ground and yawned. To make a long story short, I don't have any plans to capture you. So take it easy. He placed his marine jacket down as a pillow. I only came here to confirm Nico Robin's whereabouts after the incident in Arabasta. As I expected, she is with you. Gomu Gomu, no. No, stop, Luffy. What reason is there to attack him? Shouted Usopp. Sanji too helped stop Luffy from doing anything. Luffy struggled to break free. What is the matter with him? Are we just going to let him take Robin peacefully? As I said, I'm not going to do anything. Sweat dropped Aokiji. Luffy calmed down when a sound came from behind them. A group of tired and weary-looking people came out of the woods. Naruto barely listened to them as he kept his eyes locked onto Aokiji. He walked over to Robin and stood in front of her, protectively surprising the older woman. As he stood over her, he listened as the stranded people told them that the passenger ship they had been riding had been attacked by a giant frog. Chopper treated them while Sanji cooked up some food. He is far stronger than anyone I have encountered before. That is only power-wise. Skill-wise is another story. Naruto thought as prepared for what was to come. Even more so, he didn't want this man to take Robin with him. There is an island not too far from here that is populated. I can help you get to it, said Aokiji, standing up. He headed towards the coast and they followed him. It'll be a simple matter of creating a way for you to walk there. The Admiral yawned lightly. Are you crazy? There is no way you can just walk to another island, yelled Usopp. Robin interrupted them, with his power. It may be possible. They all wonder what she mean. By that as they followed Admiral Aokiji to the coast. Naruto made sure to stick close to Robin. You stay with me, said Naruto, not bothering to look at Robin. It wasn't a request or a question. She wanted to tell him that there is no way he could beat him, but then saw the look in his eyes. There she saw was a neutral look as if preparing for something, and there was a smile on his face too. Ey made it to the coast where Aokiji placed his jacket on the ground. Oi! What are you going to do? Asked Luffy. Stay back, said Aokiji, sticking his hand into the water. All watched curiously. Eggs. P.T. Robin, who already knew what was going to happen. A giant sea beast burst out of the water. It released a loud roar, but Aokiji continued to stare at the water even as it made a lunge for him. Ice Age. Everyone's eyes widened as the entire sea, including the Sea King, had been frozen in ice. Naruto grinned in excitement. Such power. To freeze an entire sea as if it were mere child's play. This is the power of a Marine Admiral, whispered Robin. Amazing, gasped Usopp. Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp failed to grasp the seriousness of the situation. Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, and Naruto did not. Lu, FFY, and Usopp wished the people well as they began their trek across the frozen ocean. Aokiji sat on the grass with his head in his hand. Luffy turned to face him with a large smile on his face. What is it? Asked Luffy curiously. How do I say it? You remind of your grandfather. Monkey D. Luffy, said Aokiji, his eyes a bit more serious. Luffy's eyes widened at the mention of his grandfather. Reason I came to this island was to see Nico Robin and have a look at you. Luffy, you okay? You're sweating, said Usopp. Hi, it's long ago. Your grandfather caused quite a few problems for me. Maybe I should just kill you off now. Aokiji looked Luffy right in the eyes. The world government is still ignoring you, but if we study your background carefully, you are a dangerous group. Though you are few in number, a group of criminals such as yourself would be troublesome. To the first bounty posted on you, to the deeds of your crew up to this point, there is no denying that your progress has been staggering. Wait. You just said that you were just here to confirm Robin-san is with us, yelled Usopp in fear. What makes your crew so dangerous up to this point, is Nico Robin, said Aokiji. So you were after Robin. I'll kick your ass, yelled Luffy. The Straw Hat Captain was one again being held back by Sanji and Usopp as Aokiji continued talking without any fear at all. Her bounty not only shows her strength, but the threat she is to the world government. Gaining a bounty of 79 million berry at the age of 8. You did well to survive as a child. Betraying your partners and using them as tools. Surviving in the underworld concerned with your own self-interests. Is this group the next hiding place you have chosen? Robin's eyes widened as Naruto growled. A cold look appeared in his eyes. Oi, what is your problem with Robin-chan? You are starting to piss me off, yelled Sanji. I have no personal grudge against her. My only connection to her is that I failed to capture her once. It's an old story. You two will realize sooner or later, when you take up with such a troublesome woman. The time to regret won't be too far away. Aokiji began to stand up. To prove that, every organization that she has been involved with has been destroyed except for herself. Why is that? Nico Robin. Robin remained standing there silent, not able to deny any of those claims. Shut up. The past doesn't matter, yelled Luffy. If that mattered we wouldn't be traveling with a pirate hunter and female thief, yelled Usopp. Nami punched him in the head. The past is none of our concern, said Zoro. Hi, Robin-san is our dear Nakama, yelled Chopper. You say you failed to capture her once in the past. That matters not because we will make sure that a second time is added to that list, glared Sanji at Aokiji. Naruto was oddly silent at this. A silent pause reigned over the clearing. I see, it seems you have become quite popular with this group, said Aokiji. Quiet, if you plan to arrest me then do it. She crossed her arms. Trace Fleur. Aokiji grunted as arms appeared all over his body trying to bend him backwards and preventing him from moving. Error. Did I say something wrong? How disappointing. I overestimated you. I thought you to be an intelligent woman. Clutch. Aokiji was bent all the way backwards until he broke in half and shattered into dozens of pieces of ice. Logia, gritted Zoro. The ice started to reform until Aokiji stood right in front of Robin, towering over her smaller size. What a cruel thing to do, said Aokiji, not in the least bit harmed. Robin started to sweat in fear knowing this would be the end. Aokiji picked up some blades of grass and released them into the air. He then blew out a chilling wind that froze them into a blade of ice. Ice Saber. I didn't plan on killing you, but circumstances change. Robin closed her eyes and braced for death, but a pinging sound was heard. She opened her eyes to see Zoro blocking the blade with his bone sword. Sanji came running up and kicked away the ice saber. Gomu Gomu no pistol. Aokiji didn't even bother to dodge as he grabbed in Sanji's leg. Sanji screamed as his leg were frozen. The moment Luffy's fist connected with Aokiji's stomach, it too froze. Ah! Yelled Zoro, swinging his own sword as Luffy and Sanji collapsed to the ground in pain. Aokiji let the blade hit his ice-covered chest before grabbing Zoro's arm too quick for him to dodge. Zoro screamed as his arm had been frozen. Robin stood there with no way to defend herself as Aokiji looked down upon her. He got all three of them, gasped Nami. Usopp and Chopper had their jaws wide open in fear at what they had just witnessed. Wait, where was Naruto? They looked to the side and saw him with his head down so they couldn't see his eyes and shaking. Their eyes widened at this. Was Naruto, the strongest of them all, scared? You found yourself some good nakama. But you are still the same Nico Robin. No, you're wrong. She never got to finish when Aokiji fell forward, wrapping his arms around her. Ice time, said Aokiji. Robin's eyes widened in pain as she soon became an ice statue. Bastard, roared Luffy, but his eyes widened even more when Robin's statue shattered. Everyone was shocked at this, though they missed the look on Aokiji's face. Even he was shocked at the current happening. He didn't do that. Robin, Luffy shouted. Robin. Nami, Usopp and Chopper were crying. Zoro and Sanji weren't able to say anything and Naruto was still shaking. Suddenly, Naruto started laughing. Oh man, you all should see the looks on face. Naruto, what are you laughing at? Roared Luffy as he slowly stood up. Yeah, Naruto, that bastard just killed Robin. I thought you cared about her. Nami shouted. Naruto finally calmed down. Are you sure? With that he waved his hand to his side, and to everyone's shock and most of all Aokiji, Robin appeared out of thin air. She herself was shocked that she was alive. Seeing Aokiji's look, he explained. I ate the Kagami no I am a mirror man. The Robin who you froze or believed that you froze was nothing more than a mirage. I just made everyone else think that too because their lack of reaction would have made you suspicious. Aokiji was flabbergasted at the prowess of the young man in front of him, to fool an admiral such as him so easily. Now that he focused on the man, he could feel that this man was powerful, maybe not as much as him but way powerful than anyone else on the crew. Naruto turned to Luffy. Luffy, take everyone and get out of this island. I will make sure that he doesn't come after you. This shocked everyone. What? No way, I am leaving without you. Luffy shouted. He's right, Naruto. You can't take him on all by yourself. Nami said. Naruto ignored her. You all need medical treatment. Besides, you promised me, didn't you, that you wouldn't step in between my dream? Well, now's the time to keep your word, he said as he turned to face the Admiral. Luffy stopped at that. Your dream, what is it? He asked. My dream is to beat the shit of all three admirals, Fleet Admiral and Garp. And now I am finally going to take a step towards that dream. Everyone's jaws dropped at that. Naruto grinned towards Aokiji, who himself was shocked to the core that someone would have such a dream. What? Everyone shouted. Are you mad? Nami shouted. Yeah, why so you want to do that? Usopp screamed. They are strong, besides, it's fun. Naruto replied, smiling. Now tell me, Luffy, would you keep your promise? Everybody looked at Luffy, who was thinking with a serious expression on his face. Very well. But you better not die, Naruto. What? You can't be serious. Nami shouted but was interrupted. Let's go. We can't come in between someone's dream. With that, Luffy slowly started to move towards the ship, followed by Zoro and Sanji. Nami and the others reluctantly followed. They were all worried about their nakama, but none more so than Robin. When they were aboard the ship, Naruto shouted, Luffy, don't wait for me here. I will meet you at the last island before Redline. It's called Sabaody. And take care of Robin, will you? Okay, Naruto. He got the reply. Oh, and one more thing. He shouted once more. What? Tell Zoro not to get lost and keep him with you guys. I would become bored without my punching bag. Naruto said laughing. I'll kill you. This time it was Zoro who replied. And then they disappeared from the view. Ha 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 ha. Naruto laughed for a few minutes, and then got silent. Calmly looking at Aokiji. You think it was a wise move to let them go and not going with them? Aokiji asked. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to fight you if they were here, and if T had happened I wouldn't be able to complete my dream. He replied. What do you mean, and if you don't mind me asking, why do you want to beat me? Aokiji asked. With them here I wouldn't able to fight at my full power. And for your second question, it's not just you that I want to beat everybody strong out there. I just started with the Navy. This would also help that it would place a high bounty on my head. Hey, not that I am overconfident or something, but what would be my bounty if I beat you? Naruto asked. Aokiji's sweat dropped at the bounty comment. I would say approximately 350 million berry. If you were to just leave alive after a fight with any admiral, that alone would mean that you are strong enough to escape an admiral who wants to kill you. Aokiji said thoughtfully. If I severely injure you? Naruto once again asked. Maybe 550 million berry. He got the reply. And if I kill you? I don't know. Oh, that too bad. Naruto sulked a bit before straightening up. Very well, let's get this show on the road, shall we? He said, slowly unsheathing his blade. Oh, and one more thing. Can you make a promise to me? What? Promise me that none of us would leave this island until the other is down. If I lose, I don't care if you kill me or capture me or whatever you wish, you can do, but please finish this fight. Aokiji was shocked at the statement but nodded nonetheless. Very well. Good. Then prepare yourself. And with that, Naruto charged forward, slashing his sword. Cut. Please review. Chapter 6. Demon Mirror. Naruto Chapter 6. Navy HQ. WHHHAAAT. What D? Oh, you mean you didn't find anything there? Surely there has to be anything there on that island we found Aokiji on. Sengoku shouted. In front of him standing were two young marine officers who had owned to submit their report about their findings on a deserted island in the Grand Line. Actually, sir, we noticed something there. While the whole island was frozen with nothing left sparred, we found some small pieces of mirrors that were intact. The strange thing is that where we found them was frozen all around, but not a speck of ice on it, though it shattered once we touched them. The Marine said. Very well, you may leave. Sengoku said, as he sat on his chair. Yes, sir. The Marines saluted as they left. Ha 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 ha. I still can't believe that some out there and in the weaker part of the Grand Line was able to do that. He must be good if he managed to do that. Garp laughed. Shut up, Garp. Sengoku roared. It's not a laughing matter. This is the time even you have to be serious. I won't tolerate your nonsense for a second this time, he said. Garp calmed down a bit. Though I still want to know who the hell beat Aokiji so bad. To do that he must be good. I don't think even one of Whitebeard's commanders could have matched him so far, though Whitebeard himself is another story. Do you think it was him? Garp asked. No, I have recently got reports that he had met red-haired Shanks in the New World. While this too is troubling itself, I think we should press forward to this matter for the time being. I think it must have to do those mirrors they found on the island. Sengoku explained. Yay, to think that some mirror pieces are the only thing intact. No, this can't be a coincidence. So, what have you done about it? Garp said. I have sent a Kainu to investigate the day we found Aokiji. With these mirror in the report, maybe we have some lead on what we are finding. I will tell him to look for them. Very well, even though I don't like you sending a Kainu there, I don't think there's any other way. The only one who should go would be an admiral, and with Kizaru on a mission, he is the only one left. Garp replied. I still remember the day we found him. Sengoku said calmly. What do you mean you can't find him? Surely you could just contact him with the Den Den Mushi he keeps on himself. Sengoku asked. Sorry, sir, but we have already tried that. His Den Den Mushi is not reachable. Last we have known is that he went looking for someone in the Grand Line. It's been 18 days since then. We have lost contact with him from there. The Marine officer said. Very well, you may leave. Sengoku said as he started thinking. When the Marine left, someone else entered from the door. Ha ha ha. Sengoku, are you still looking for him? You don't have to worry so much, you know. Maybe he is just taking a vacation and doesn't want anyone to disturb him. Garp laughed. No, I have a bad feeling about this Garp. Aokiji never ignores a call from the Navy HQ in Raiden. It isn't a matter of ignoring the call. Reports say that they just couldn't contact the Den Den Mushi as if they were killed. There's also the fact that it has been more than 3 weeks since he went missing. I just couldn't ignore this. Sengoku said seriously. What is the meaning of this? Explain yourself. Sengoku shouted. Sir, we recently got a call from a marine base that they found a deserted island. The marine quickly said. I hope you didn't interrupt me for this, officer. Sengoku seriously said. Sir, they say that the whole island was frozen in ice. Not a speck of life. And then, he hesitated. Speak. Sengoku roared. Sir, when investigated they found Admiral Aokiji there, and the thing is that he was severely wounded and half dead. The marine told them. What? Both Sengoku and Garp shouted shocked. Yes sir. Right now he is being brought back to the HQ for treatment. They say they should be here in 2 days. He replied. Okay, you may leave. Sengoku said. He didn't know what to do. 2 days later, when Aokiji was finally brought back, he was still in a coma-like state, which they speculated he put himself in so as to not die. The condition he was in was very bad. His whole left side of body was scarred with burns. He had stab wounds in his chest. And most important of all, his right leg was lost. Everyone who saw this was very much shocked at the state of one of the 3 greatest powers of the Marines. Flashback end. And now it's been 8 days since he was brought back and he still hasn't waken up to tell us what happened. Sengoku said. Yay, Witho, him we can't find, and Garp's eyes twitched as the door opened and once again he was interrupted. This was happening a lot these days. In came a marine doctor. Fleet Admiral Sengoku, Admiral Aokiji is awake. He says he wants to meet you right now. Please come, otherwise he says that himself would come here even though he is no condition of such. The doctor said. Very well, come Garp. Sengoku said as he left the office, followed by Garp and the doctor. Hospital. Aokiji could be seen half laying in the bed, just looking at the wall in front him as if thinking something. In reality he was thinking of the fight he recently had been in and how the world doesn't even know of how much of a dangerous man was roaming between them. He would surely need to warn Sengoku of this. His Musen G was cut short when Sengoku entered the room. Hello Aokiji, how are you feeling? Sengoku asked. Considering the condition I am in, very good actually. The doctor says I should be up and running in a few days. I still think he was over-exaggerating. If you want I could get to the job right now. He replied. No, take rest. Aokiji, I won't beat around the bush, so tell us what happened. Sengoku said seriously. Ararara. Straight to the point I see. Aokiji laughed a little before he calmed down a bit. As you know, after the incident in Alabasta, Nico Robin had escaped the Marines once more. I had a hunch on her whereabouts and went to confirm it. There I met your grandson Garp. Garp's eyes widened at this. And I have to say he surely got a pretty interesting crew with him. Though NK that he unknowingly got a very dangerous man within his crew. The same who did this to me. WHHHHAAAT, Luffy's crew did this to you. Garp shouted. No, it wasn't the crew that did this. No, they couldn't hold a finger against me. It was that man, just one man who did this. He had a pretty interesting dream too, you could say. Aokiji replied. What is it? Sengoku asked. As he himself said, he wants to beat the shit out of 3 admirals, the fleet admiral and the marine hero Garp. He replied. Both Sengoku and Garp's sweat dropped at this. What kind of rubbish is that? Sengoku asked. No, it isn't a rubbish. At first I thought it was some petty grudge against the Marines, but he told that Marines isn't the only ones. He just want to fight strong people out there and just choose the Marines because he wanted a bounty. He explained. That was also the reason he stayed to fight me when he could have just escaped with the others. I see. Aokiji, tell about how powerful was he? Sengoku ordered. He obviously doesn't know about hockey, so he has a lot to improve. As for power, he is a mirror man. Surely one would think what could we do with a mirror, but that man, I had to say, with how he uses it. He paused a bit and looked both of them in the eye. He is just as dangerous as Whitebeard if not more. Both the man in front of him were shocked and wide-eyed at this revelation. Aokiji, what happened during the fight, for you to say this? Garp asked, who was oddly very serious. Well, you see. Good. Then prepare yourself. And with that Naruto charged forward, slashing his sword. Ice Saber. Clang. The two blades clashed, but Naruto noticed that his sword was slowly being froze. Mirage. Using that, Naruto disappeared and another came behind Aokiji, already slashing. Mirror Blade 16 Reflection Cut. Naruto started sheathing his sword. Cuts appeared all over the Admiral's body and he crumbled in a heap of ice. Naruto knew the fight was just starting and prepared for the next attack. As the Admiral slowly grew back from the ice, Naruto was already in front of him, clashing sword with him. Both the fighters slashed swords at each other. This happened for a few minutes before they separated. It came as a surprise to Naruto that Aokiji was able to keep up with him in swords play, as he hadn't thought if the Admiral is sword not seeing any time of weapon. He was brought out of his thoughts as Aokiji called his next attack. Ice Block. Partisan. He saw many ice spears coming down at him. He raised his sword and tried cutting through them, and he was slowly being overwhelmed as many of the spears had already cut him and he could feel his body slowly freezing. Thinking it was time to bring the big guns out, he called. Infinite Reflection Kamui. Aokiji was shocked at the effect of this. He saw his attack pass through the redhead, who was now moving forward quickly. Thinking it was a mirage, he used his haki trying to find the redhead, but was once again shocked when he couldn't find his presence. He could just see the redhead in front of him but couldn't find his presence. It was as if fighting a ghost. Suddenly he once again felt the redhead's presence in front of him and saw he was trying to kick him. He quickly extended his hand to catch the kick and freeze him over, but the man once again phased through him. He noticed that he once again couldn't sense him. Naruto quickly made his way away from him and Aokiji could now once again feel his presence. Now that Aokiji looked carefully, he saw that one of Naruto's eyes was shining almost as a mirror. Both stared at each other before Aokiji spoke. That's some peculiar ability you got there. You almost became a Logia, it seems. I am very interested in how you did that, he said. Sorry to disappoint you, Aokiji. But you can't expect me to just tell you my technique knowing that you would convey them to your superiors. Naruto replied. It was worth a shot. Though I noticed your weakness already. Whatever it is that you do, you can't attack your opponent and defend yourself at the same time, can you? Aokiji calmly said, but you could see a small smirk on his face. Nothing less expected from an admiral. To catch my weakness just after seeing the technique twice. Then let's see how you deal with this. Broken Mirror Silent Mirage, he shouted and charged but hit nothing but air. Ice Star. He heard and looked upward only to see a blizzard coming down at him. He jumps towards it and phases through it, heading straight for Aokiji, preparing his sword. Aokiji was expecting this, and did something he didn't thought he would have to do. Tekai. He hardened his skin and let the sword touch it, without freezing it. It made the sound of two metals colliding, and that was only warning Naruto got. Hey ran Ice Storm. Naruto was blasted straight into the floor. Naruto had not been expecting this. He thought he would once again have to use Kamui when the Admiral would use his powers too. Freezing him. He hadn't expected to collide with some skin. I see, so I just to be fast enough to hit you the moment you touch me. You could only avoid this if you were faster than me, but and then how are you supposed to defeat me if you can't hit me? Aokiji said as he came down. Face it, kid, you lost. As you can see, you have yet to hurt me and you are already looking worse for wear. It was true. Naruto had already lost his cloak and there were some injuries too, that could get worse. But he couldn't afford to lose. No, he won't lose. No, you are wrong. I still have much left within me. Let's see how you deal with this. Cursed Reflection, he said. Aokiji's eyes widened as he saw all of Naruto's wounds heal and him standing up straight as though he hadn't taken a beating at all. What happened? Cat got your tongue. Now let's get going, shall we? Naruto charged forward. Ice Ball. Dome of ice started to surround Naruto, but then he did something that shocked Aokiji to the core. Cursed Reflection Ice Ball. Naruto shouted as he threw his hand forward. He saw that ice was started surrounding him. While shocked, he let the ice completely surround him. Both the ice balls were simultaneously blasted outward. Ice time capsule. Cursed reflection ice time capsule. A wave of ice creeped along the ground from both sides and collided. This caused a huge explosion. The result of that was the whole beach being froze. They both stared at each other and Aokiji felt as if he was looking at a mirror. Now, how about this? Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. Suddenly he snapped them open and started running at Aokiji, who started attacking him with ice spears. Infinite reflection. The ice spears just passed through Naruto and just he reached him. Burning sword, he slashed his sword. Aokiji had no time to react and was cut across the shoulder. His eyes widened when he felt pain and looked down. He saw flames licking his shoulder where the burn wound was. He removed his jacket and shirt, which was quickly burned to ashes. He saw that the wound was not healing and a lot of blood had been bleed out. When he turned to his opponent, he saw something he hadn't thought was possible. Naruto's sword was covered in dark orange flames all the way to the hilt. What was that? He asked. So you can be hurt, I see. How does it feel, Aokiji? The sensation of pain. You must have felt it after a long time. As for this, Naruto said, pointing his sword. It is made from my mirror. You see, as a mirror man I could reflect anything from one mirror to another. Here are countless mirrors across the world and I myself am a mirror. I just reflected the sun over my sword. I can tell you must be feeling the heat even from a distance, don't you? Even I am having a hard time controlling it. But what can do? I can only think of this as a way to melt through you ice. Well, enough talk. Now it's time for round 2. He said as he charged forward and the fight once again began. Break. 18 days. It has been 8 days since the fight began. Both the fighters were now tired because of fighting continuously with break. If one were to look around them, all they would see was frozen battlefield. The whole island had been frozen during the fight. Naruto and Aokiji weren't faring any better either. Their clothes had almost been destroyed with only some of their pants and shoes left. Their bodies was littered with wounds. Aokiji now had cuts all over his body. His left side of body was badly burned. There were also stab wounds in his chest. Naruto himself had cuts and holes through his body. He would have had frostbite if not for the flaming sword, which was becoming more and more hard to control with him losing his strength. There was also a severe wound on his neck all the way to his right side of the chest, which looked like his skin has been peeled off. Aokiji had been able to get a lucky shot on him by freezing his neck and chest, but before Naruto could melt it, he broke the ice, resulting his skin and some muscles destroyed too, leaving a scar. Flashback end. Both Sengoku and Garp were wide-eyed as they were hearing. To think that someone who they hadn't even heard of was able to match an admiral in an all-out fight. It was a wonder that he was able to be off their radar foe so long. Moreover, who would have thought that just by using a mirror someone could be able to control the flame of sun itself? There is also the fact that if he just wished, he could burn the whole world using those flames using mirrors. Who knows what else could this man do with his powers? Aokiji was right. This man was just as dangerous as Whitebeard, if not more. Garp then noticed something. Aokiji, that's all and good, but it still doesn't explain that. How did you lose your leg? He asked. About that. Yeah, maybe it's time. Naruto said as he too raised his hand. Ice block. Pheasant beak, as named an ice pheasant, was released from Aokiji's hand and charged at Naruto. Mirror wall. A ripple shockwave was released from Naruto's hand. He vanished as soon as it left. The two attacks collided. As soon as it happened, both the attacks vanished in thin air. Whatever Aokiji was expecting, it wasn't this. He also noticed that Naruto was missing. Infinite reflection sword Hellstorm. He turned just in time to see Naruto descending upon him with his sword ready to cut him. With no power left, he surrendered himself to his fate, and then hell broke loose. They were surrounded by a firestorm. Fiery cuts started appearing all over his body. He lost his right leg and had lost too much blood that he finally left consciousness. Flashback end. And that is what happened. I didn't even know that I had lost my leg until recently, but that's not a problem. I can regrow my leg temporarily to walk. Aokiji said. This is truly one frightening individual. We must place a bounty on him immediately. What did you say is his name? Sengoku asked. Naruto. Uzumaki D. Naruto, or as I prefer him to be called, Demon Mirror, Naruto. Aokiji replied, Sengoku, sir, if you don't mind, would give him bounty around what I told him. I would hate to disappoint him. Don't worry Aokiji, I will see to it. Garp said as he interrupted Sengoku. What? Garp, are you serious? This can't be happening. No one ever got a first bounty that high. Sengoku said, shocked. You are right, but no one without a bounty has beaten an admiral to death too. There is a first time for everything. Make his bounty 600 million berry. This man is going to make a huge impact soon, I can feel it. Garp said seriously. Very well. Sengoku sighed. He turned to Aokiji. You, rest for now. With that both he and Garp left. Break. An unknown place. Two red eyes opened and looked at his surroundings. Naruto slowly sat up and saw that he was in some kind of bedroom. It was small and the only thing present in the room was a bed and a chair. He was that his whole body bandaged up. Looks like his devil's luck once again helped him. Oh, you are up. He heard a voice and turned from where it came from. There standing was a woman. Hello, my name is Makino. Cut. Infinite Reflectee. On Kamui. Naruto uses his eyes as a mirror and transports himself in his mirror world, while still projecting his image in the world. Please review. Chapter 7. Demon Mirror Naruto Chapter 7. It has been 2 weeks since he arrived at what he learned the Fuchsia village. While he knew that the time for his meeting with the crew at Sabaody is close, he didn't want to leave without being fully healed. His luck, who knew who he may come in fight with. During his stay here at the woman who he learned as Makino, he had been helping her in a bar she owned. It's the least he could do for her, he thought. He still remembered the day when he woke up on this island. Oh, you are up. He heard a voice and turned from where it came from. There standing was a woman. Hello, my name is Makino. Naruto. He introduced himself. If you don't mind, for how many hours have I been asleep? He asked. Hours. Makino giggled. If you must know, you have been out for 5 days. F5D days. I have been out for that long. He asked, shocked. Yes, it freaked everyone out when you came out of a mirror suddenly. But that's okay, we have seen a devil fruit user or two. The time you came, you were badly injured. Red, especially that nasty scar on your neck. Naruto's hand instinctively went to the scar. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Makino asked. Oh, this. I have been in a fight. He told her. So you are a pirate? Makino guessed. Yes, I hope it isn't a problem. Ah, no, it isn't a problem. Actually, I myself have couple of pirate friends myself. Very well, thank you for healing me. Now if you will allow me, I must go. My crew must be worried. Naruto told her as he began to stand but was stopped by her. No, but you can't leave. Or at least till you are fully recovered. I won't let you go away with those kind of injuries. She said, pointing towards the bandages. Who knows what might happen with them? Naruto didn't want to admit, but he knew that she was right. Very well. Flashback end. During these 2 weeks Naruto had been becoming very famous among the people of Fuchsia village, mostly because he beats up any pirate that dares run havoc. With them being weak, it wasn't a hard job to do. Aside from this and helping Makino, he had also been training hard in using his devil fruit powers and swordsmanship skill. He had also been trying to convert things into mirror. He heard that crocodile had been able to change the wall and buildings into sand. A Logia he may be, but you just turn things into your own element. He presumed that it must have to do with the devil fruits. Or something else that everyone could do. If he also could do that, then he would be able to cure many of his weaknesses such as the Kamui. While slow, he had some success in doing this, which he was happy about. Aside from this, he also discovered something that shocked him to the core. Naruto was coming back from the forest where he had been training for the last 6 hours. He had been training trying to change things into mirrors and was happy to say that he had some success in doing such. He had created some new techniques as well. Now he was returning to the bar to help Makino with the tea. NGS when he noticed that there were a lot of people there. He rushed there thinking that some pirates were running havoc once again, but once there he saw that there was some kind of celebration going on. He saw Makino at the side with the old man mayor smiling, while the man was scowling at the people. Hey Makino, what's all this about? He asked, pointing towards the people. Oh, this, you remember. I told you that some of my friends are pirates. Well, one of them is from our village and recently there has been an increase in his bounty. Thus, all the celebration. Makino told him. Who is it? He asked. Makino just spread out the poster she had been holding in his face. There was a photo of Luffy smiling, and a bounty of 300 million berry. Naruto seeing this blinked his eyes a few times and then thought what Makino had said. Whhhhaat, this is Luffy's home. He shouted. How do you know Luffy? Makino asked. Oh, I told you that I am a pirate, didn't I? Well, you see, Luffy is my captain, he told them. This shocked both the mayor and Makino. She smiled widely at that while the old man hoped nobody would hear them, but this was not to happen as a man sitting near them had heard what the redhead had said and told that to everyone. This caused Naruto to be snatched from Makino into the horde of men who were wanting to know more about Luffy and his adventures. And Naruto was more than happy to tell them. At least as much as he knew. Flashback end. At the end, Makino had also shown him the newspaper article that told that Luffy and the Straw Hats had declared war with the world government. This served as a shock for him. Wanting to know more, he read the article and got to know that Luffy had done so in order to save Nico Robin from the Enies lobby. He was angry that world government was trying to hunt Robin, but was glad that Luffy kept his promise in keeping her safe. While the crew was becoming a family to him, Robin was the one he was closest to. He also didn't deny the fact that in such a short amount of time he had also developed feelings for her. This motivated him in increasing his training even more. He thought that he had another 10 days before he had to meet the crew at Sabaody, meaning only 7 days left before he had to leave. Break. Finally the day had come for Naruto to leave. He now wore the same clothes as before. He had actually stored them in his mirror world, where he had more. The past week Naruto had done nothing but training. He was finally able to make a breakthrough in his devil fruit powers. It wasn't perfect, but with enough concentration he could now change anything he wanted into mirrors. He also took time to improve his physical strength. Now, we see him on the docks ready to leave with Makino and the mayor who came to see him off. He was preparing a small boat to leave from the island. Are you sure? You should leave now, Naruto-kun. Maybe you should stay for a few more days. I don't think you are totally healed. Makino said. Yes, it's time for me to leave. After all, I promised Luffy I would meet him at Sabaody. But thank you for everything you have done. Naruto replied. It's no problem. You are Luffy's friend after all. Well, thank you once again. And with that Naruto sailed off in his small dinghy. I hope he will be safe. I don't think Luffy would be happy if his nakama got hurt. Makino said to the mayor worriedly. Don't worry, Makino, he could handle himself. If anything, I would say as long as he is with Luffy, our Luffy will be safe. The old man said. Huh, what do you mean, mayor? She asked. I hid it from everyone. But this came a week ago. He handed her a poster. Makino gasped when she saw it, not believing her eyes. But how? It's twice as Luffy's. She asked, not believing her eyes. Garp called. When he sent me this poster. He said that this young man took on and defeated an admiral so that he could save his crew. Don't worry, I didn't tell him that he was here. The mayor told her. Dead or alive? Uzumaki D. Demon Mirror. Naruto 600 million berry. Break. It has almost 2 days since Naruto left the Fuchsia village. He was now riding a sea king that he had beaten and then befriended. Just as he left the island, he was attacked by the sea king, but he just quickly beat it and forced it to actually give him a lift. At first the Sea King was very mad at the human for doing this, but with time it started to like Naruto as he told it some stories along the way. Since Naruto didn't take a free ride from a Sea King into account, he was already near the Sabaody with the help of his eternal log pose. He could have been there much faster if the Sea King could dive in the water, but couldn't because of him being a devil fruit user. Hey, I see the island. Looks like we arrived at Sabaody. He exclaimed. But then he noticed something. There was smoke rising from the island. He could also hear some explosions. Oi! Drop me there and dive underwater. I'll call you if I need help. Okay, he told the Sea King, who nodded. When he dropped on the coast, he immediately ran to the biggest explosion that he had seen. He along the way saw that there were more and more Marines on the island fighting pirates. He ignored them though, he had to find his crew. When he reached his destination, he came upon a sight that made his blood boil in rage. A tall man in yellow suit was standing on Zoro. With a leg above his chest and covered with light. He looked around and saw that his whole crew was lying on the ground. Just as he saw that the man was bringing his leg down, he vanished. The Straw Hat Pirates were in real danger and they knew it. They had come to this island where they hoped they would meet Naruto and then continue their journey again, but he hadn't even reached here yet. They had made some friends here and were enjoying their time here until it happened. Their friend Kami had been kidnapped and was going to sold, and then one of their friend was shot by a celestial dragon. Luffy in his rage had punched him and they were all happy. That was until the Marines came, and with them came an Admiral who they couldn't even lift a finger against. They were all beaten fast, and now the man had Zoro who looked half dead under his leg ready to crush him, and they couldn't even do anything. Zuru! They all shouted, as they saw the leg come down, but were surprised. When another leg came and kicked it the other way. When they looked at the one who did that, they were happy when they saw an all too familiar cloak. Oi! I would appreciate if you could stop picking up on my punching bag. Naruto said as he looked at the man in front of him. I am not your punching bag, bastard. Came Zoro's weak voice. Thought he was promptly ignored. Naruto, they all shouted. He looked at them. Oh, hey guys, could you tell me what happened here and who the hell is this guy and why is he trying to kill you? He asked. Naruto, we could tell you all that later on, but right now we need to focus on him. Nami said, pointing towards the Admiral. He is an Admiral. Naruto looked shocked as he looked the now known Admiral. So, you are an Admiral, huh? How come you are an asshole unlike Aokiji? Kizaru raised an eyebrow at the mention of his fellow Admiral. How come you know Aokiji? Admirals are usually not known by most pirates in the paradise. Kizaru asked. Of course I know him. I kicked his ass. Those of Straw Hats who could hear him were shocked that he had beaten an Admiral, while Kizaru just raised an eyebrow. Beat him? What's your name, hum? He asked. Isn't it common courtesy to introduce yourselves first? Naruto replied. Very well, I am Admiral Kizaru of the Marines. Kizaru introduced himself. I am Uzumaki D. Naruto. Naruto, huh? So you are the infamous Demon Mirror Naruto. That had beaten Aokiji. Can't say I am impressed. You don't look like much, Kizaru said, eyeing the blonde. Demon Mirror. Wait, does that mean I have a bounty on my head? Naruto asked excitedly. Oh, so you don't know, the government had put a bounty of 600 million berry on your head. Quite a feat for some no-named pirate who just appeared out of nowhere. Kizaru replied. WHHHAAAAT, 600 million berry. That's twice as Luffy's mine. The crew shouted. Oi! Didn't I tell you to get away from here? You people are quite injured. Now go. The Straw Hats reluctantly left the place. Naruto once again turned to the Admiral. You know, I would have loved to fight you in honored battle, but you actually tried to kill my friends and you also seem to be an asshole to me. I don't want to spar with anyone like that, so I will finish this fight fast. Naruto said, as he pulled out his sword and slashed at the Admiral. Kizaru, thinking that, how the man in front of him was able to kick him before and knowing from the reports that he was actually a living mirror, decided to play safe and dodged. This happened for few more minutes with Naruto. Getting more and more frustrated with each strike. He knew he had improved, but the man in front him just proved to be too fast for him to hit. Well, what would you expect from Light? It wasn't also helping that Kizaru himself wasn't attacking at all, so he couldn't reflect any attacks back or make any chances for himself to attack. Naruto stopped attacking and tried to calm himself down and to think of any way to finish this bout. His thoughts were interrupted when a loud explosion rung from the way where his crewmates have went. He looked at the direction only to see large smoke emerging from there. What's going on? Don't tell me there is another Admiral present. He asked. He looked at Kizaru for answers. You didn't think that the Navy would send only, did you? While an Admiral would be more than enough to deal with the pirates of the caliber here, the crime committed today is not something to be taken lightly. I don't know who else is sent, but do you think that in their condition your crew would survive the bout? I certainly don't, Kizaru said with an amusing smirk. Naruto gritted his teeth with the situation he was in. He had obviously seen the condition his nakama were in. They weren't in any condition to fight, though knowing them he knew they would still try to hold against the enemy. He just hoped he would reach them in time. He didn't think that Kizaru would let him God to help them. Then, I will just have to finish you first, don't I? Do you really think you could defeat me? Quiet overconfident aren't you? Kizaru asked, but Naruto instead of answering just charged him and swung his sword. Kizaru dodged the slash easily. Considering you are light and I a mirror, I don't think this is the overconfident speaking. Naruto finally replied, as he charged again. Ama no Murakumo. This tome instead of dodging Kizaru made a sword of light in his hand and clashed with Naruto. They both engaged in a sword fight. As they clashed swords with each oath, explosions kept blowing with each clash. Whenever the swords met, a shockwave would be released that would destroy the surroundings. While I enjoyed this bout between us, I think this isn't the right time for me to fight you, Naruto said as he phased through Kizaru's sword while sheathing his own blade. He gripped the light sword tightly in one hand while touching the flat side of the blade with the palm. Curved mirror. Focus reflection. The sword was launched from Kizaru's hand into the sky at light speed. Kizaru made some distance between the two and jumped in the sky. You truly are a scary opponent to face. Especially for someone like me. But let's see if you can reflect this. Yasukani no Magatama. He spread his arms and unleashed a wide area rain of light upon Naruto, who raised his hand in a pointing motion. Mirror wall. Most of the light rain vanished with the shockwave, but Kizaru continued to attack him. Naruto just ran at him with the light just phasing through him. He jumped towards Kizaru, who was ready to turn into light and move, but found himself unable to do so, causing him to widen his eyes. Mirror house, Naruto said as he reached him and slashed his sword. Blood sprayed from his chest, but before he could do anything else, Naruto already had a hand on his chest. When he looked into Naruto's eyes, he could see a cold fury in them. Get lost. And with that, Kizaru was reflected away. Pant. Naruto panted lightly as he landed back on the ground. Without wasting any time, he ran towards his crew. What he came upon was an unbearable sight to him. All of his crew were missing with the sole exception of Nami, Robin and Luffy. There was also a huge man who moved very fast for someone his size. Naruto was very far from them and could do nothing but see Nami, i.e. He heard Luffy shout as the man waved his hand on Nami and she vanished in thin air. He saw the man heading towards Robin and his breath hitched. He quickly made a small throwing knife with his mirror and threw it at Robin. It was unnoticed by everyone except for him and the man as it vanished along with Robin just as it touched her. Even though he knew he could reach her, something snapped inside him because of the condition he saw her in. Naruto made another knife and prepared it to throw at Luffy, but was forced to avoid a bubble that came fast at him. This was all the opening the man needed as he sent Luffy away. When Naruto finally regained his senses, he turned back only to see the man and no Luffy. Angry, he roared as he rushed at the man and slashed at him with his sword. Finally, after some time, Naruto got a drop on him. The man, with not enough time to dodge, was forced to block the sword. He brought his hand upward and blocked the sword with his palm, which had a strange paw-like marking on it. Naruto, taking notice of it, made some distance between them. Shichibukai Kuma, so you are the one the government sent, huh? Tell me where are my friends, or I would just have to force it out of you. He said. Uzumaki D. Naruto, if you have to go somewhere, where would you like to go? Kuma said, ignoring him. Ignoring me, huh? Well, I would have preferred if you would have just told me. Too bad for you then. Naruto said as his sword crackled with electricity and he charged at Kuma. This time with more speed. Mirror sword. Lightning style. Lightning spear, a spear. Are made of lightning shot from the sword and clashed with the bubble, resulting a loud explosion and lots of smoke. Kuma, taking advantage of the smoke, retreated as he sent himself away. When the smoke finally cleared, Naruto searched for his opponent and was unable to do so. He gave a frustrated cry as he realized that his Kuma has retreated. Now he would have to find his crew too. He was glad that at least he could reach Robin easily. He concentrated on the knife he sent with Robin. After a few minutes he found it and was about to reach it, but Clap. He heard the sound of clapping and turned to see an old man with gray hair and beard. Finally I got to meet the other person I wanted to meet. Quite a feat for someone young such as yourselves to defeat an admiral and then clashing with a warlord. It's nice to meet you Uzumaki D. Naruto or Demon Mirror Naruto, the man said. Naruto started sheathing his as he closed his eyes. It is an honor to meet you, but I wonder why would the first mate of the Pirate King himself want to meet me? With that he opened his eyes and looked at the man sharply. Silver's Rayleigh no. Dark King Rayleigh, and cut. Chapter 8. Demon Mirror Naruto Chapter 8. Silver's Rayleigh. A name that brought fear in the hearts of the Marines. Every pirate worth his salt knows that name, cause, the man is none other than the first mate of Gall D. Roger, the Pirate King himself. So it came as a surprise to Naruto when the man said that he had wanted to meet him. After all said and done we now find him sitting in the Shaki's Rip-Off bar, drinking beer with the old man. They had been doing so with the better part of the day where mostly Rayleigh told him stories about his adventures the same he did with the rest of the Straw Hat crew. So what do you plan to do now? Rayleigh asked. What do you mean? Naruto asked taking a sip from his mug. Your crew, Naruto. You don't know where they are. How are you going to get to them? Rayleigh clarified. I don't think there's any need to worry about them. Luffy can take care of himself. The same for Zoro and Sanji. Chopper. He may not look like it but he is strong too. Nami is smart enough to survive anywhere she goes. Well Usopp, I don't know what to say about him but yeah he'll be alright. And the last two you told me about, I haven't met them yet so I don't know about them but if Luffy had them join, then they must be something. So yeah, I don't have to worry about them. Naruto replied. And, what about Nico Robin? Naruto stopped drinking for a moment and then started drinking again. This didn't go unnoticed by Rayleigh. What about her? He asked. You didn't say anything about her. What do you plan to do about her? Rayleigh asked. She will be safe. I'll make sure of that. Hat happened at the Enies lobby will not be repeated. I'll make of that. Naruto calmly replied. There was a calm silence between the two, before Rayleigh started laughing. Ha 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 ha. You know you didn't sound like the Naruto I was told at all. He said between his laughs. What do you mean? Naruto asked confused. The old man stopped laughing and smiled at him. When your crew was here, we shared a lot of stories with each other. That was when they told me about you. You were nothing of what they told me. Rayleigh replied. And, what did they tell you? Well they said that you were just like Luffy. Always having fun and all you know. But with little conversation, I can tell that there's a lot more to you. Rayleigh said smiling. Well they also said that you were strong, and they were right on that one. I can feel it in you. Quote, you know what they say about being where you are. You should know what I mean. Naruto replied. Yes you are right, I understand. They sat there enjoying the silence and drinking. The bar was empty due to the attacks that happened before. Getting his answers Rayleigh was content with his newspaper. Naruto meanwhile looked like he was thinking something. Shaki filled their drinks every now and then. That was when Naruto spoke. Say Rayleigh, can you tell me something? He asked. This was the only indication that he got that Rayleigh had heard him. These Logia devil fruit users. How do you fight them? I can fight them because of how I use my powers. But what about someone who hasn't eaten any devil fruit? How do they fight them? I know that you haven't eaten any but you could have easily beaten that admiral. There must be some kind of universal power for that. He asked. Ah yes, there is something that you could use to fight them. It's called hockey. Rayleigh said. Hockey. Quote, yes, hockey. Like this. He said as he covered his arm in hockey making it black and showed it to Naruto. And after that began a session where Rayleigh explained Naruto the different types of hockey and basic ideas about how to use them. Naruto was very fascinated about this. He thought that if given time he could learn them. He was disappointed that the Conqueror's hockey couldn't be learnt and you have to be born with it. It more depressing was the thought of how only 1 in a million were born with it. After he learnt everything he needed to know he stood up and started to walk towards the door. Rayleigh raised an eyebrow at this. Where are you going now? Rayleigh asked. Naruto just looked behind. I told you, didn't I? That I would make sure that nothing happens to Robin. I think I shouldn't delay anymore. I am going to get her," he said, and once again started moving. "And how are you going to do that?" Rayleigh asked. "You will see," Naruto replied without turning back and got outside the bar. Once outside, he started looking all around as if looking for something and suddenly turned in a random direction before he closed his eyes and started concentrating. Finding what he needed, he used his powers and slowly vanished into thin air. Break. Robin didn't know how much time has passed since she was knocked out. The last she remembered was being attacked by an Admiral, where Naruto had finally came and once again saved them. After them they once again ran into danger in the form of a Shichibukai. Bartholomew Kuma. By then she was already tired from the events that happened that day and was on the verge of losing consciousness. The last thing that she saw was the face of Naruto and him throwing something at her. As soon as she woke up, she tried to find whatever it was. To her surprise, it was a throwing knife made of mirror. She quickly kept it to herself and gathering as much power as she could to search herself a place to hide. Now, here she was sitting in a cave staring at the mirror quietly. She knew that whatever it was would help her Naruto to get to her. She paused her thoughts at that. Her Naruto. She thought upon that for a while. She didn't know what this feeling was. She didn't even know him all that well. After all, he was only on the crew for almost a month and then he had to leave them for almost over a month. And many things has transpired by then. Though in the time he was with them, she could honestly say that he was the one that she enjoyed spending time the most with. They actually had a lot in common. Unlike the crew, she was able to see glimpses of his true self. On more than one occasion, when with him she felt that life was worth living. But when he left them to save them and fight the Admiral, she, not knowing his skills, feared the worst outcome. That was when she felt her life shatter for a moment. She felt like before, no purpose of living. That was also the reason that she without any struggle went with the CP9. As a last gamble of her life, she tried protecting the crew with the thought of how Naruto had died protecting them. But the crew came for her and protected her. She felt a little alive then. Even though she still felt a little hollow inside, she quickly hid it, trying to enjoy the present. And now he was back. He was alive, and from what she recalled, the other man saying actually defeated Aokiji. She quickly felt that hollow in her heart fill. Now she just had to wait for him to come for her, and then she wished that she could finally be with him. Now she knew what that feeling was. She loved Naruto. She liked the thought of that. Now it was almost a day since she had been sitting here waiting for him and staring at the mirror. Due to not eating anything, she was feeling very weak. It didn't help that the only thing she could see around her was snow. She slowly drifted to land of unconsciousness. Break. Two dark brown eyes opened and looked at their surroundings. They showed surprise at the unfamiliar scenery. Robin sat on the bed and observed the room she was in. It was dimly lit by a lantern, and there was nothing else of importance in the room. She didn't know how she came here. She remembered being in that cave surrounded by ice and falling unconscious due to hunger. Suddenly she tried looking for something in a panic. She was relieved when she spotted the all too familiar knife and quickly clutched it to her chest. That was when the door opened and she was surprised to see an all too familiar face. Shaki. "Ah, you are awake. It's good, you know. You have been sleeping for more than 2 days," Shaki said. Shaki. How am I here? I know I was in that cave and snow and Robin tried to say more but was interrupted. "Get slow, will you? You will get the answers, but first. Here, eat something," Shaki said, giving her some fruits and water that were kept on the desk in the room. "You must be hungry." Robin, thanking her, took the fruits and started eating. She was so consumed in it that she didn't even notice when the older woman got out of the room. It was a few minutes later that the door once again opened and she was brought out. Of her musing that she noticed someone had entered the room. Her breath hitched when she saw who it was. It was Naruto. He just stood and leaned against the gate just looking at her. They both just stared each other in the eye. Without saying anything, it was her that broke the contact and looked at him as a whole now. She saw that he now sported different clothing from usual. Right now he just wore black pants, sandals and a loose sleeveless t-shirt. Naruto, seeing that she had yet to speak, decided to start. "Hey Rob. This was all he could say before she launched herself at him and hugged him tightly. Her face buried in his chest. He could hear a light sound of sobbing. He just stood there doing nothing. Once he felt her calm down, he carried her to the bed and sat her there. "You okay?" he asked her. Robin just nodded, her head still clutched his chest. "Now, why don't you tell me what you have been to since I was away?" Robin stayed silent for a while, saying nothing. Naruto was content in waiting for her speak. After a few minutes she raised her head and looked at him. Well, and then she began telling him everything that had happened. The true story behind the Enies lobby incident, about the CP9. About Frankie and losing the Going Merry, and about Thousand Sunny. She told him about how they met Brook and then fighting another of the warlord Mariah. Lastly she told him about the incidents that occurred at Sabaody resulting in the attack by the Marines and the Admiral and Kuma. Naruto was quietly listening to her. As the story continued, there were a number of emotions from happiness to sad to angry on his face. Though in the end he was quite happy that she was now safe along with everyone. Robin, as she told him everything, noticed the scar on his neck but decided to ask him about it later. As soon as the story ended, there was a calm silence between the two, and Robin noticed that his eyes were shadowed by his hairs. That was when Naruto raised his hand at her and lightly slapped her across her cheek. Robin was too stunned by this to say anything. Suddenly she was engulfed in a hug by him and his head rested on her shoulder. "Never do that again. I don't know what I would do if this happened again." Robin blushed when she heard this. By now she too had hugged him back, both enjoying each other's presence in silence. That was when she remembered the scar. "Naruto-kun, how did you get that scar?" she asked him. Oh this," he said as he traced his hands over the scar. "You don't think that I could come unscathed after a fight with an admiral, do you?" That was all the answer she needed to know to understand. "And how did you find me?" she once again spoke. "Well, normally I wouldn't be able to go where I haven't been through mirrors. It would take too much time actually, to find a mirror in that place. But this," he said as he took the knife from her, "is special. I have locked onto this mirror and am able to go to it instantly. It also helps at this is also sturdier than the rest, just like my sword, so I can also use to fight. It actually took a lot of time to make it, you know, but it was worth it," he told her. That was when Shaki entered the room along with some clothes for Robin, seeing as hers were ruined beyond anything. Along came Rayleigh, who had a beer bottle and a newspaper in his hands. "Looks like you could meet another of your crew member, Naruto," he said. "Huh, what do you mean?" Naruto asked, confused as he finally let go of Robin. "Look at this," Rayleigh said as he tossed him the newspaper. Naruto caught the paper and read the headlines. "Execution of 2nd Division Commander of Whitebeard Pirates, Portage D. Ace, today at Marineford." Naruto's eyes widened as the name, but he calmed himself down, before looking at Rayleigh. "I know this news is pretty big and all, considering the Marines are going to execute a commander of Whitebeard and in turn messing with him, but still I didn't understand how I could finding anyone from the crew and this is related," he asked Rayleigh. But it was Robin who answered. "Oh, you didn't know? Fire Fist Ace's captain's brother," Robin told him calmly, but you could see from her face that she too was very shocked to hear the news. What? Naruto shouted. "Yes, she is right. Ace and Luffy are brothers, and knowing Luffy wherever he might be right now would try to rescue Ace as soon as he hears the news," Rayleigh said. "Yes, and even if for some reason Luffy doesn't come, I need to help his brother." "That's what he would want," Naruto said. "And think of all the people that would be there for me to fight," he proclaimed excitedly. "I am going. How much time till the execution takes place?" he asked, looking at Rayleigh. 3 hours. "Very well. I should get ready to leave," he said as he headed towards the door. "I am coming too," Robin suddenly said as she too stood up. "No, you aren't," Naruto said without turning back. What? "Robin, you aren't in any condition to leave. There is also the fact that the world government is already after you, he said as he opened the door and turned to look at her. "Please stay here." That was when she saw his eyes. They were pleading her to stay. "Very well." Robin finally gave in. "Thank you." With that, Naruto went outside to change his clothes and prepare for the trip. Break. We now find Naruto and the others on the shore. Rayleigh had given the eternal log pose to the Marineford itself. Naruto wanted to ask how he got it, but then remembered that the old man in front of is actually one of the strongest man in the world and used to be the first mate of the Pirate King. So anything was possible. They had decided to watch the whole event on the screens as it would be live broadcasted. Naruto, even though I gave you the log pose, I am still confused. How would you go to the Marineford? I don't see any boat or ship here. Rayleigh asked. It's quite simple actually. Watch this. With that, Naruto whistled loudly. They waited for a few seconds before the Seeking emerged from the sea. The three of them were shocked at the ride that Naruto called. Rayleigh suddenly started laughing. I don't even want to know how you did that, but good job. Rayleigh said between his laughs. Humph, maybe someday I might as well tell you myself, but goodbye, Naruto said as he jumped on the Seeking. Okay big guy, let's go, he said as he pointed in the direction. The Seeking took off without any hesitation. That boy, I have a feeling that his presence at this event is going to be a changing factor for this world, Rayleigh said as he watched Naruto leave. Both the women stood silent. Break. Marineford could only be described by one word. What was that? Chaos. It was pure chaos taking place. The execution of Portgas D. Ace had indeed incited the wrath of Whitebeard and his allies, which started the war between Whitebeard and the Marines. Sengoku of course took every precaution into account. Thus he gathered up all three admirals and called for a summons of all Shichibukai in the known world. Also he called forth the Marines stationed all around the world come forth to be ready for this war. And what a war it was. Whitebeard came like expected, and with his massive fleet of pirates and allies along with his own signature ship the Moby Dick. The Yonko and legendary pirate came in with a vengeance. He was an angered father that had his son taken from him, and for his own foolishness let this happen. As expected by Rayleigh, Luffy too had come to save his brother. He had first infiltrated the Impel Down, but seeing he was a little late and Ace had been taken from there into Marineford, he came here. Though he was not alone and had some interesting people with him that had escaped alongside him. One of them being a revolutionary called Emporio Ivankov, another two being the former Shichibukai, Jinbei and Crocodile. The rest were worldwide criminals that they had helped escaped. Plus with the gathered Shichibukai consisting of Dracule, Hawkeye's Mahawk, Don Quixote Doflamingo, Bartholomew Kuma, Gecko Mariah, and the last of which was the reluctant Boa Hancock, who was, instead of fighting against the pirates, was just protecting Luffy when he was nearly killed. She didn't want someone that acted like that man killed. Though that wasn't the only fighting force. For when the war was stretching further on, did a man called Sentomaru appear with an army of 20 pacifistas. These man-made cyborgs were already doing quick work of the pirates, though some were destro yet by Hancock herself for targeting Luffy. The war continued on, and during one of the instances Luffy punched Garp off the man-made bridge before getting to Ace, while Whitebeard and his crew fought off the Marines that were trying to stop Luffy. The pacifistas were almost destroyed, with 5 of them attacking the pirates, with each Shichibukai attacking the commanders of each division of Whitebeard's crew. Also while this happened, Luffy was able to rescue Ace, and leftover Marines were attacking the fleeing duo. Running and fighting their way through countless Marines was both Luffy and Ace Pum. Melling their way through, desperately trying to get out of the way. Both exhausted yet kept fighting. No, if they stopped there would be trouble. As they raced from the execution platform, did Ace glance at his younger adopted brother before smiling. "You've grown stronger, Luffy," to which the younger pirate just looked his way before grinning. He thanks, maybe now I can beat you." This just made Ace break out a grin of his own as they ran. "You wish, Luffy," he said. That is before the two stopped, and for ahead of them was Aokiji staring at them with both a bored yet saddened expression. The ground around him was already coating with ice as the air around them started to get colder by the second. Aokiji, taking a step forward, spoke. "You are not going anywhere, Fire Fist Ace, neither are you, Straw Hat Luffy." Both boys frowned at the Admiral. That is before Ace stepped up, placing his hand on Luffy's shoulder, getting his attention. Stepping forward, did he speak. "You've done enough, Luffy. It's time I protect you." With that, Aokiji charged, as did Ace, both charging their own attacks. The surrounding pirates and marines neither didn't see this or were frozen on the spot of the clash about to happen. Ice block. Pheasant beak. With that, Aokiji gathered up a massive amount of ice before swinging it toward Ace, the ice forming into a giant pheasant with wings and all in one blast. Seeing it coming, Ace pushed both his flame-engulfed arms outward. Mirror flame. Pulsing the flames outward did Ace create a giant wall of pure orange-red flames with it shooting toward the ice pheasant. The heat and coldness saturated the area, already creating a light fog as nearby marines were lit on fire from the extreme heat of Ace's flames, as pirates found it hard to move with ice slowly moving up their bodies. Ha! They yelled in unison before their attacks collided. Boom! When the two attacks collided, a great shockwave ripped through the area, blowing the unready Luffy back a few feet. And the nearby marines and pirates back, that is before a thick steam erupted from the two attacks, thus covering the vicinity. With the steam was both Luffy and Ace staring at the uninjured Aokiji, with his own attack melted halfway with the head and upper body completely gone. It dropped to the ground, busting into a million pieces of ice. Seeing this, Ace stood his ground. That is until, my sons, I am giving you all my final order. Quote. The Whitebeard pirates along with Ace and Luffy, hearing this, turned back to see their captain wounded severely but still standing. They replayed his words before protesting. But Pops, Marco exclaimed, only for him and the other protesting pirates to be silenced when Edward spoke once more. Silence. This is a captain's final order and you will follow through with it. Fall back to the new world safely. The new era does not need an old relic like me. There is no ship in the seas that can hold me. I will stay here to show these marine brats what a true pirate is capable of. Now go. Did Whitebeard shout to his crew, Ace and Luffy. The surrounding marines, Sengoku and admirals as well, either had shocked or stone-firm serious expressions. Marco hurrying this let a few tears fall before bowing his head before speaking. Very well, Captain, yelled out the 1st Division commander. Tears swelling up in his eyes from his father's words as were off. Our Whitebeard pirates having the same tears. As the crew started falling back, did Whitebeard speak again. My sons, do not look back. Times are changing. The era of piracy shall live on and will forever conquer these marines, the world government and the world nobles. We shall topple them all. Do not look back. With his last words to his crew and sons, does he rear back his fist, gaining Sengoku's shocked look, as did the watching admirals. Ha! With a swing as a quake bubble surrounded his fist, did he once hit the air, did the blue cracks appear before suddenly the ground started shaking before a great upheaval sounded as an earthquake erupted from Whitebeard's targeted fist, with the earthquake rippling through the land and into the Marine Base HQ. As the cracks and upheavals ripped through the area, marines all losing their balance and falling through those very cracks or the falling debris, did both Ace and Luffy stare at this in shock. To Ace it was a testament to his toin and father's power, as to Luffy it told him deep down this man, Whitebeard, was not only respected by Ace, had the power he couldn't even begin to imagine, but loved his crew so much to sacrifice himself for it. That action alone raised his respect for Whitebeard all the higher. Seeing the Marine HQ crumble, did Sengoku roar in anger as the admirals frowned, even Borsellino himself. Whitebeard himself stood, tall and imposing even with his severe injuries, in front of the angry marines. His triumphant grin in place, did he speak. Marines, I challenge you to finish this battle once and for all. Which the marines all but charged at him, swords and guns drawn. Seeing them coming, Whitebeard gripped his basinto before channeling his Gura no Mi powers, forming a quake bubble which coated his blade. With a swing did he sent a whirlwind shockwave, disrupting and completely destroying the first wave of marines, sending them high into the air. After which did he swing his quake bubbled east into another wave of marines, producing a shockwave blowing them away along with destroying countless buildings of Marineford. Looking at a couple of marines trying to disrupt the fleeing pirates, it formed yet another quake bubble before punching the very ground itself, creating yet another earthquake, only this time a giant upheaval shot out of the ground and right through the marines chasing his sons. Pops. Hearing this, did Whitebeard turn around, forgetting the regrouping marines, and stare at Ace, who at the moment was now kneeling down on both hands and knees with his head down low. Tears freely falling from his eyes, did Ace speak. Pops. He was stopped when Whitebeard just raised his hand. There is no need for words. I only ask you this question, Ace, was I a good father? Said the teary-eyed Whitebeard, to which the question only made Ace cry even harder before uttering his words. Of course. Hearing this, did Whitebeard only laughed heartily before turning back to the Marines. Seeing this, Ace stood back up and turned around before speeding away, never looking back like his father ordered. Come on Luffy, time to go. Which the straw hat wearing teen nodded in agreement with that. The two sped forward with the Whitebeard pirates. As they left, though running with the remaining pirates, did Ace hear someone speak. Marines, seeing them go to the docked boats, turned to Admiral Akainu. Admiral, they're trying to board the ships. The man just scowled before rearing back his right fist, it dripping with his magma powers. Great eruption, throwing his fist outward, an oversized rocket into the fleeing pirates, burning and melting them in the scorching magma's heat. Looking at the fleeing sons of both Roger and Dragon, did the Akainu speak. Fleeing right after. You have grabbed Fire Fist Ace. What a bunch of cowards you Whitebeard pirate scum are. Then again, Whitebeard is no different, seeing as his nothing more than a failure of the previous era. Herein, this did Ace stop in a slide, with Luffy stopping a few feet from him. Ace. The teen only glanced back at Akainu with a rageful gaze. What did you just say? His tone frighteningly cold, yet a deep lingering tint of killing intent showed. Akainu, though, wasn't deterred and spoke once more. Whitebeard is nothing more than a fool that lost to your father, Roger. He couldn't even become a king even after his own death. Whitebeard is a failure forever and shall be in the next life. Aces practically lit ablaze at the Admiral's words as he took a step forward, ignoring those trying to pull him back. I'll kill you, Sakazuki. His arms erupted into flames as he gathered flames into his right arm. He ignored the cries and shouts of him to get back or his brother's attempts to turn around. All he wanted to do was kill this man that had insulted his father and savior. Rearing back his fist, did Ace speak. You know nothing of Pops. So shove your words down your preaching justice mouth. This era is called Whitebeard. Hearing this, Akainu frowned at Ace's words before rearing back his own fist. Yelling out, they both pushed their fist outward. Great eruption. Fire Fist. The two attacks exploded from both users' arms in forms of fists when they both collided, though. Boom. A small explosion of both magma, fire and smoke as the two challenging attacks struggled for dominance, but quickly Akainu's attack won over, thus causing yet another explosion, only this time some of the magma's heat burning Ace's left arm. Gah! Screamed Ace as he fell to the ground, clutching his heavily injured arm. Pirate King Gold D. Roger and Revolutionary Dragons, their sons becoming brothers, is something truly to be feared, downright scary. I will not let you two go. Anne. Seeing what the man was about to do, Ace only had the strength to speak. Hey. No, wait. But it was too late as Akainu jumped over Ace and prepared to strike down the teen. Jinbei not able to react. Time could only watch in horror as Akainu prepared to strike down Luffy. Luffy. A flash before Ace appeared in front of Luffy, his front facing him, prepared to take the hit. Luffy looked up only to see this cursed reflection ice block. Pheasant beak, yelled a voice suddenly, and Akainu, as he looked up, was forced to jump away so as to dodge an ice pheasant, missing his chance to kill the pirates. What is the meaning of this, Aokiji? He yelled at his fellow admiral, but all he saw was his shocked and troubled face looking behind him. I didn't do that, Aokiji told him, as he pointed behind him. Why is it that every time I come across you, you are in such a condition, Luffy? Said the man standing in front of the brothers. Luffy, finally coming to his senses and seeing the condition he were in, only smiled at him for saving his brother. Ah, thank you, Naruto. Cut. Chapter 9. Demon Mirror. Naruto Chapter 9. Anger, relief, joy, hate. These were some of the emotions that were taking place. Ace in people's heart all over the world. The Marines that were present at the war and the people supporting them were very angry that someone had once again taken away their chance to kill a notorious pirate, if not two. Relief was what all of the Whitebeard pirates were feeling, that one of their own was saved from death. People who were watching the war but were friends with the Straw Hat Captain also had the same feeling. That their friend and savior was okay. Confusion. This is what was shared by everyone. Confusion at who this new individual was. The little people who had seen his wanted poster knew that this man was dangerous and were thinking for a plausible reason for his presence here. Many were shocked that this unknown man actually stopped an attack from an admiral. Shows how dangerous this man was. Who the hell are you? Akainu growled. Captain, I think that enough excitement for the day for you. How about I take it over from here, what do you think? Naruto said, ignoring the admiral. Ah, Naruto, what are you doing here? Luffy asked jokingly. That old man at Sabaody said you would come, so I just came too, besides. Naruto said, turning to the battlefield. This place at the moment is like a dream come true, don't you agree? He said, smirking as he pointed at all the people. Oh yeah, you are right. Luffy replied, laughing. All the while the hers were just looking the two from the side. Akainu, having enough of being ignored, rushed forward with the intention of killing them. Magma seeping out of his arm. So, what are the orders, Captain? Naruto asked. Well, Luffy was about to answer but was interrupted. Enough of this, now die. Akainu yelled as he jumped, punched and threw a punch at them. Naruto, thinking quickly, pulled out his sword and blocked the punch with it. Due to the force of the punch, there was a loud explosion and the heat caused a lot of smoke to cover the area. Ace, Luffy, the Whitebeard pirates and Hancock shouted, thinking the worst. As the smoke cleared, everyone was shocked except the remaining two admirals and Kuma. They had already seen the power of this man and knew that something like this was not enough to kill him. Though none was more shocked than Akainu himself. When the smoke cleared, everyone saw that Naruto had blocked Akainu with just his sword. The only difference was that he had it hid behind a few meters due to the power behind the punch, and that his sword was covered in lightning. Akainu, not giving up, put more power. Naruto in response increased the lightning, causing Nay to see large flashes as opposed to the rising smoke from Akainu. Luffy, you look tired, so how about you take your brother to safety? Beside, he looks like he would need someone to protect him. Who better than you to do so? Don't worry, I'll take care of the Admiral. He's the only one I have yet to fight after all. He said without taking his eyes off the Admiral. Luffy was about to protest but awed over Naruto's words and knew that he was right. Both he and his brother were in no condition to fight, and he knew that Naruto was strong to come out of this alive too. With his decision made, he nodded to Naruto. Very well, take care of yourself. Oh, and if you could help that old man do that, he said, pointing at Whitebeard. With all said, he ran, taking Ace with him. As you wish, Captain. When he was sure that Luffy was gone, he turned his attention to the Admiral and focused solely on him. You were going to punch a hole through them, weren't you? Let's see how you like it when someone do that to you. He said as he twisted his sword, freeing it from the deadlock, and got under the man. Mirror sword. Lightning style. Lightning spear. A huge hole was made in the Admiral's chest, causing magma to spray all over the area. Naruto was unfazed as he just let the magma pass through him. Not only that, due to the attack, the area behind the Admiral was destroyed too, and anyone present there, which coincidentally happened to be a lot of Marines, was injured too. Everyone could also see lightning sparks in the hole. Naruto, seeing that he couldn't directly attack the man due to the magma, started thinking of ideas to attack him. Great eruption. His thoughts were interrupted by Akainu's voice, and he looked above him. He saw a huge magma fist heading for him. Unthreatened, he just passed the man coming behind him and prepared to once again attack him. Naruto, as he was about to swing his sword, was stopped by a large amount of huge magma fist coming towards him. He was impressed by the speed shown by the man. He had thought that the man would be more of a power type. Nonetheless, he just brought his hand forward. Mirror wall. Some amount of the magma vanished with the shock wave while he let the other pass through him as he once again ran at the man. Akainu followed the suit as he too charged forward. Fist met sword. There were arcs of lightning every now and then. This happened for some time. Meanwhile, all the battlefield, the fighting had once again started. Some of the Marines thought that they could take advantage of the situation and started chasing Luffy and Ace once again. This caused the Whitebeard pirates to once again pay attention and help the brothers. Whitebeard, seeing the new brat taking the Admiral hat on, and got curious and stopped his assault. To watch the battle, all the while taking a breather too. He had noticed that both the fighters were at stalemate. While many would say that this was because the Admiral was tired, he knew that the boy too had yet to show his true power. The same with Akainu. This same thought was shared by both Garp and Sengoku, who too were solely focusing on the battle. They had heard that this was Naruto, and if Aokiji was to believe, then this man was dangerous. They wanted to see if it was really true. Akainu, getting frustrated at the boy, leapt back to make some distance and punched his lava-covered fist forward. Anagami Gurren, a dog-headed shot of magma shot out of his fist and charged at Naruto. Cursed reflection. Ice block. Pheasant beak. Naruto once again launched Aokiji's attack at the incoming dog. This actually caused all the fighting to stop once again. Naruto's actions had once again shocked everyone. They had just seen the man use lightning. Furthermore, they couldn't understand how could he use Aokiji's attack. The clash between the two attacks had caused many people to lose their footing. They could see both men trying their best to overpower each other. Slowly but surely Akainu managed to overpower the ice as his magma headed toward the redhead. Naruto was gritting his teeth at the incoming Admiral when he suddenly started grinning. Magnify. What happened next baffled everyone. The once melting ice bird in an instant grew thrice in size and charged forward at the Admiral, destroying the magma dog effortlessly. Akainu, not expecting this, took the attack head-on, causing him to scream in pain. The resounding explosion due to the huge bird crashing blocked everyone's view of the man. Only Naruto saw that the man had fell in the trench mad by Whitebeard during his rampage. "Are there any ships intact for your crew in the off chance that they could leave?" he asked the huge man. Whitebeard just nodded his head. "Good. Do you think that you people could start leaving now? Ace has already been taken to safety. You people should leave too. I'll cover for you," he said. "I don't need your help, brat. While I am grateful that you saved Ace, don't think that you can order me around." Whitebeard roared back. "Well, too bad for then. I have orders from my captain to help you. I intend to follow them." Naruto grinned. They both went into a staring contest, neither giving in. They were interrupted from their conversation as cannons once again started firing at them. They both turned towards the Marine headquarters where the cannon was, both unfazed by the incoming cannon. Balls and the explosion happening around them. As long as that building is standing, I don't think that they would consider stopping this war. Naruto said, and he was right. Even though Ace was our 80 taken to safety with almost all his crew supporting him, the Marines didn't seem to give up. The remaining two admirals were trying their best to kill if not capture him, but were constantly fended off by the commanders of the Whitebeard pirates. He would have thought that they give up by now, already failing their mission, but that wasn't the case from the looks of it. He was brought out of his thoughts by a tremor caused by the older man destroying much of the landscape once again. Grinning, he too was about to attack in order to help the old man, but was interrupted by a Marine shouting. "Look, there is someone hiding there," he said, pointing at the shadow behind the now half-destroyed Marineford headquarters. And fair enough, there was a giant hiding there. "Ah, they found me," the giant said. "Not only that, who are they on the scaffold?" Another Marine said. "True, there were people standing there." "Oh, they finally noticed us," came the voice from the scaffold. Upon closer inspection, Chion Sengoku identified Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard, among them. Not only that, but the other people were identified as some of the worst criminals of the world who had escaped from the Impel Down. "It's you. How did you all get here?" Sengoku shouted. "Why are they here?" murmured some of the Marines. "You bastard," Whitebeard growled at Blackbeard. "They are the most heinous criminals who say existence has been because of their brutality." A Marine said. "They are the Blackbeard pirates." "Zehahahahah. Long time no see. I am glad that I am present at your death, Pops." Blackbeard laughed. "Teach," Whitebeard growled. "Shiryu, you bastard," Sengoku shouted. "What happened to Magellan? What's going on at the Impel Down? How did you guys get in here?" Shiryu just grinned evilly. "NK, the fact that we're here is the answer to your questions, don't you think?" he said. "Fleet Admiral Sengoku-san." All of the Blackbeard pirates laughed at this, causing the Fleet Admiral to grit his teeth. "If you wanna know more, why? Shut up." Shiryu was interrupted by Whitebeard shouting. "I don't give a damn about any of this," he said as he raised his arm, focusing all his power in it. "Teach." He brought his arm down and cracked the air, causing an earthquake that swept everything in its path and headed towards Blackbeard, destroying the remaining of the scaffold to be destroyed. Though the pirates standing there got out of the attack safely. The intended target was not so lucky as he buried under the rubble, but still got out easy and safe. You have no mercy, huh? Of course you don't, Cheech said, getting up. You are the only one I refuse to call son, Cheech. Whitebeard said, you broke the one and only iron rule on my ship and you killed your mate. He said as he pointed his basinto at the man. I will avenge the 4th Division commander, Thatch, by taking this fool's life, thereby ending the matter. His crew members were about to come and help him, led by Marco, but were stopped. Marco, he shouted, thus stopping the man. He was now huffing furiously, the battle and age now taking a toll on him. Pops, Marco shouted, keep yourself out of this. Pops, do you hear me? Whitebeard said as he now turned his attention to the man in front of him. Let's get this over with, Cheech. Zehahah, I am looking forward to it. Cheech laughed, as black smoke raised from his body. He raised his hand and smashed it in the ground. Black hole. The whole area was covered in the black smoke. This is the power of the devil fruit that I stole from Thatch by killing him. He said, the most dominant dark fruit. Enjoy it to your full extent. Whitebeard suddenly found himself sinking in the ground, or most specifically the black smoke. It was not only him, but whoever that was standing on the smoke found him in the same situation. Undeterred, the old man raised his hand and gathered his powers to attack. Blackbeard, seeing this, covered his hand in the darkness and ran forward. Oh no, it's no use. There's no devil fruit that work against me, he said. Just as the older pirate brought his hand down, he intercepted it with his hands. Vortex. Everyone's awe that the power of the earthquake was sucked into the black, thus rendering it useless. Blackbeard, using the chance, punched him in the wound, causing him cough blood. Not giving any chances to the maw, and he grabbed his hand and once again punched him. Whitebeard once again tried using his powers but got the same result. This happened once more. Finally, the man, seeing the chance, freed himself, swung his weapon and slashed at his opponent in the shoulder, causing him fall down and wither in pain. Giving no chance, he trapped the man using his leg and weapon and grabbed his throat, charging his power, causing Cheech to become terrified. Hey, don't, Pops, I am your son, right? Don't, Cheech begged, but Whitebeard would have none of that and released his power. This caused a huge tremor with Cheech at the center. Everyone of the Whitebeard pirate who was watching was overjoyed, thinking that it was finished. Hey, look at that. Suddenly one of them pointed at the now settling dust. They could see Blackbeard still moving. They all started yelling and started encouraging their captain to finish this. Whitebeard, too, wanting to finish this, quickly moved forward. Just as he was upon the man, he stopped and started coughing blood. Only those who knew him knew that this was his old age acting. Cheech, taking advantage of the chance, quickly pulled out his pistols and started shooting him. Kill him, guys, he shouted. Hearing the command, all of his crew charged forward and started attacking the now open Whitebeard. Some with guns and others with swords. People from Whitebeard's crew could only watch in horror as their captain was brutally attacked. After minutes of constant firing, they finally stopped and looked at their target. Even after all the attacks, the man was still standing proudly on his feet. Whoa, I am out of bullets. Hey, give me another pistol, Blackbeard said. You don't need it, Shiryu interrupted, causing others to look at him. He's unconscious now. He's gonna collapse if you push him with your finger, he said. I wouldn't be so sure, if I were you, the all but forgotten Naruto suddenly said. Everyone looked at him and saw him sitting on the rubble. I have a bad feeling about this, Aokiji thought from his place. Boy, who are you? Shiryu asked. How come no one knows me? I heard that they released the bounty posters already, he asked. Cough. A sudden cough caused him turn towards Sengoku. We have yet to announce your bounty to the public. We were going to do that after the war. Right now only the high-ranking officials know about you, he said. What? Naruto shouted. But he started sulking on the ground. Before he suddenly jumped and pointed at Sengoku. Oi! I came here to increase my bounty, and I will bloody hell do it, he said. So you better get ready to increase my bounty. I will just give you a reason to do so. He once again turned towards Blackbeard and his crew. As for who I am, my name is Uzumaki D. Naruto. And this, gentleman, he said as he waved his hand beside him, causing a very shocked Whitebeard to appear, is known as Whitebeard. The pirates were all shocked at the sudden appearance of the dead presumed old man. While many were happy, most of the people present were very angry at this. Though out of all the people only Aokiji understood what had happened. Troublesome, he muttered. When everyone turned back they saw that the supposed Whitebeard that was shot slowly disappear into air. Boy, I told you, I don't need your help, didn't I? Whitebeard said silently. And I told you that I have my orders, didn't I? Naruto just replied back. And besides, look down. When the man looked he found there was still a bullet hole in his chest, where Teach had shot him. You have your grudge against that man. He's yours to kill, but his crew on the other hand are another story. Also no one said that I couldn't fight him myself. I just can't kill him. He said. He would have said more but was interrupted. Oi, brat, what did you do right now? I was sure I killed him. Teach yelled. Of course you shot him. But the one they shot was just a mirage. Naruto replied back. For your information, I ate the Kagami no am I. I am a mirror man. A devil fruit A paramesha at that. This would be easy. Teach grinned. You should have just sat quietly boy because no devil fruit is more powerful than the dark fruit. Black spiral. He yelled and raised his hand at Naruto. Naruto, feeling the effect, immediately tried to resist the force but gave in with the increase in force. Those of higher ranking could still see that there was no sort of tension on his face. He was still calm as ever, causing them to believe that he had something planned up. As he was pulled towards the now grinning pirate, he slowly reached his sword and prepared to make an opening. The Blackbeard pirates, who were grinning like idiots, were taken by shock when the incoming redhead just passed through their captain. Just as he passed through his opponent, Naruto landed and spun on his heels, slashing on the man's back. Too bad. I can't kill you, but this should suffice too, he said as he once again prepared to slash but was forced to block an incoming slash from none other than Shiryu. After some clashes he made some distance to analyze his opponent but was not given any time and was on the receiving end of the whole crew. Getting frustrated of dodging, he just phased through their attacks and slowly vanished, appearing near Whitebeard. Man, you people must be very desperate to kill me, huh? What have? Boy, get out of here. This isn't your fight, it's mine. Whitebeard once again said, irritated. TCH. Naruto pouted, before he started grinning. Then, how about I make it mine? He said before turning to Blackbeard. Say, you said you came from Impel down, right? Did you meet Luffy there? He asked the man. Yes. Did you two fight? Yes. Did he try to kill you? Yes. See, that means that Captain considers you his enemy. And, anyone that my captain is my enemy, right? So that means that this is my fight too. Naruto reasoned, all the while grinning. Everyone who listened to him had his jaw on the floor. Aokiji just shook his head, already familiar with this attitude during his fight with the man. He believed that this attitude and adaptation with the situation made this man all the more dangerous. TCH, cheeky brat. Whitebeard said, before he turned to the enemy. Don't be in my way. He said without looking at Naruto. Oi, old man, I don't want to say this, but do you really want to loose your family out of some petty revenge? You are in no health to fight, and you know that if something happened to you, your crew would not sit without trying to take revenge. Naruto suddenly said in a serious but quiet tone, so that only the man could hear him, stopping the man in his tracks. Watch your mouth, brat. Whitebeard growled. Very well, but please tell me honestly that if our crew could seriously take on that crew. You know that Ace had already lost once, but will he sit quietly without taking revenge? I don't think so, Naruto replied. So please think before you act. Your crew already paid the price once. Please don't do that again. This made the old man thinking. Even though he didn't want to admit it, the boy was right. If he had just listened to Shanks and recalled Ace back, he could have avoided all this. But he didn't listen, and not only Ace but his entire crew paid the price. He knew that many of his sons had died today, and if he didn't stop he could lose more. Making his decision, he stopped and turned a little so as for Naruto to see his eyes. Very well, brat, do as you wish, but remember that I would be the to kill him. He said. Thank you, old man. Naruto replied. Oi, enough of this chatting, Blackbeard said, charging his powers. Black spiral. Both Naruto and Whitebeard could instantly feel the effect of this. You really are persistent, aren't you? Naruto said, resisting the force. He raised his hand, corrected his stance and pointed at Blackbeard the same way as the man. Many were wondering what he was doing, but only Aokiji knew what was going to happen. Cursed reflection black spiral. Everyone was shocked at the result. Naruto, who had just announced his devil fruit, was using Blackbeard's power on the said man. Due to the 4CE being same from both the sides, he was able to nullify the effect. None of the people present were more shocked than Teach himself. Not only was he shocked, he was also enraged. He had searched his whole life for this devil fruit. He had faced countless dangers for it, killed so many people, but now this brat had come out of nowhere and was using his powers like nothing. He wanted to kill this brat. He will kill him. But still there was one thing going in his head. How did he do that? How can a devil fruit surpass his fruit? How? He made his thoughts vocal. What? Naruto asked, confused, not hearing properly. How did you use my devil fruit's power? He shouted. Well, why don't you come and find out yourself? Naruto cheekily grinned. Grr. Teach gritted his teeth. He raised his hand and charged an all too familiar attack. Black hole, he shouted. Naruto smirked and mirrored his actions. Just like everyone else before him, Teach felt as if looking in a mirror. Cursed reflection black hole. Another wave of darkness erupted and clashed with the one that Teach made. Both trying to overpower each other but none being successful. After few minutes of the clash, both stopped their attacks. One smirking and the other glaring. What happened, man? You came here all the way to Marineford saying you would kill him. Naruto said, pointing at Whitebeard. And something about ruling the world. But now, you can't even do shit. I bet you thought you could take advantage of the war and kill a heavily injured old man easily, didn't you? Even now you are afraid of him, aren't you? But in all this you didn't count someone coming here and interfering with your plans. And now you are vulnerable because the so-called ultimate fruit of yours didn't work against me. You, scared me how I used your fruit's powers, didn't you? Let me tell you, the ultimate power of my devil fruit. I can copy any devil fruit I want. He told them. Of course, this isn't the only thing. There are many that even I don't know of. Naruto's this declaration caused everyone's mind to shut down. They couldn't believe what they had heard. A power to copy any devil fruit. With something like this, one could easily rule the seas if wanted to. And if that wasn't enough, there were more abilities granted, that weren't known even now. Who knows what they could be? Sengoku and Garp were now thinking on Aokiji's warning. He was right. This man was even more dangerous than Whitebeard himself. Thoughts along the same line were running in everyone's mind. While all this was happening, Naruto was having his own sets of thoughts. While he had just told them that he could copy any devil fruit. That wasn't the case. He too had some limitation. The fact was that he couldn't copy devil fruits at all. He had just stored some devil fruit attacks in his mirror world, and was using them as a constant source of his reflection attacks. That was just a backup though, in case he couldn't access them through his infinite reflection. They didn't need to know that though. Cough. Whitebeard suddenly coughed blood. This brought everyone out of their thoughts. Blackbeard and this crew too. This chance is to attack the man. Naruto was once again going to hold them off, but suddenly the ground under him cracked and magma erupted. He was forced to dodge in the opposite direction. Having no way to intersect them, he saw the crew heading in the old man's direction. Suddenly his gaze fell at Sengoku and an idea came to his mind. He raised both his hands, one facing Sengoku and the other at Whitebeard. Holy reflection, he shouted, all the while missing the magma heading towards him. He saw that too late and only had so much time to cover himself in thin ice sheet to try and reduce the damage. He could have used the Kamui if not for his ability still in effect, he thought. He took the full force of the attack and was launched into the HQ's rubble. And the magma that erupted started converging into a human-like shape, and slowly a Kainu emerged from it. He was heavily bleeding all over, showing the damage he had taken from Naruto's last attack. On the other side, those who were focusing on the Whitebeard and his crew gasped as the whole Blackbeard pirate crew launched their attacks once again, causing dust to cover the area. As the dust settled down, the Blackbeard pirates were waiting gleefully for the result, thinking that they had finally killed the old man. But the sight that greeted everyone moved everyone to the core. There stood Whitebeard with not a single scar on his body. Even the wounds that he had received during the war recently were gone. Not only them but the said man himself was shocked, not knowing what had happened. Oi! The rubble over Naruto slowly fell down to show Naruto lying there, with his clothes destroyed. Even though he had put a last-minute defense, he still had burns covering him all over. The effects are temporary, old man, better finish them right now, he said, slowly getting up. I will take care of him. He pointed at Akainu. I don't know what did you do, but thank you, brat, Whitebeard said as he was inspecting himself. He then focused his attention on the crew in front of him. Now, I can take care of you and avenge Thatch. This statement caused Blackbeard to grit his teeth in anger at the old man, but more at Naruto for somehow ruining his plans. Now, Blackbeard, whose plans were all slowly falling apart, had no choice but to face this monster of a man if he wanted to live. He had to face the strongest man in the world. Cut. Chapter 10. Author's note. Hey everyone, I am back and I know everyone has been waiting for this after the preview, so enjoy the complete chapter. Demon Mirror Naruto Chapter 10. Upon the last of their ships were the Whitebeard pirates, along with Luffy, Jinbei, and many more of the prisoners that had escaped the Impel Down. The crew, on the orders of their captain, were forced to flee. They were very angry at this at the beginning and wanted nothing more than to go back and help their captain, but now seeing the destruction they were glad that they had obeyed the command. Furthermore, they were very shocked at the power of the young man who had suddenly come out of nowhere and was fighting alongside him. Everyone except Luffy, who was grinning widely, wanted to know about this man. Break. On the battlefield, the war raged on. Whitebeard, heeding Naruto's warning, didn't waste any time and charged towards the crew with his weapon raised. He now knew that it was a waste to use his devil fruit powers against their captain. But he didn't need that. He had enough of fighting experience to face them without it. The crew saw this and charged too. Fists, guns, swords, and all the weapons they had were raised in anticipation of the old man. While the Blackbeard pirates had the advantage of numbers, the man in front of them was the strongest man in the world, along with the fact that the man was currently all healthy and with full power. It didn't help that only their captain could nullify the power of his devil fruit, not them. The crew didn't stand a chance. Slowly their numbers decreased because of the rampaging old man, until only their captain, Blackbeard, was alive. Everyone else was dead. Seeing the power and what happened to the crew, Teach could do nothing but cower in fear as he knew that he was next. He slowly backed away, trying to find a way to run, but even he knew that he couldn't. Not without his crew, not with the man in front of him at his full power. He knew he could only do one thing to even hope to escape. Fight. With that one final thought in his mind, Teach ran towards Whitebeard with his hand covered in darkness. The old man, not worrying in the least, stood there waiting for him to come. Just as Teach came in range, Whitebeard punched his hand forward, a white bubble covering it. Teach, seeing it, brought his own hand to catch and nullify the power. As he started to grin thinking he won, he was caught off guard when the older man punched him in the stomach, causing him to jump a little. He was then caught by the throat. He looked at his opponent cowering and his eyes radiating fear. He wanted to say something but didn't have any chance to do so as his throat was literally crushed by the man. Whitebeard then threw him in the air and impaled him with his basinto, effectively killing him. Thatch, rest in peace my son, you have been avenged, Whitebeard gruffly said as he looked at the sky, a small smile forming on his lips. Everyone who was watching the fight was shocked at the brutal display, but were not shocked that the winner was the strongest man in the world. The old man, now calm, looked around to see that everyone was busy watching the fight between the Akainu and Naruto, and he too sat down wanting to watch the fight and possibly know more about the man. He could already feel his body returning to normal, fatigue finally coming to him. He assumed that whatever Naruto did was wearing off and concentrated on the fight. All the while the body of Blackbeard was hanging on his weapon. Break. On the other side of the battlefield, it was absolute chaos. Everyone has given the two space and fled the area. Only the high-ranking officers could be seen nearby. It didn't help that the area was surrounded by magma and fire. Occasionally, there were also some lightning sparks that could be seen. Both Naruto and the Admiral were there standing and staring at each other. Well, the Admiral was glaring actually. He absolutely hated the man in front of him. Because of this man he couldn't kill the sons of two of the most dangerous people in the world. Another fact that was baffling him was that how someone so strong could be off the Marines' radar for so long. They didn't even know of this man until his fight with Aokiji. Even though he wouldn't admit it, but he knew that Aokiji was strong, maybe just as much as him. And to defeat him would mean that the person would have both skills and power. He knew that neither he nor Naruto had been fighting with their full strength till now. He had to step up his game, he decided. Enough of this farce. It is time to show you your place, pirate scum. He shouted as he once again covered his hands in magma. Volcano eruption, he said, throwing his hands on the ground. At first nothing seemed to happen, but then everyone noticed that the ground was quickly heating up. More so than below Naruto. Naruto, understanding what was going to happen, jumped away. Just in time too, as a magma erupted from under the ground. The resulting smoke obscured everyone's vision. Naruto, taking advantage of this, charged towards Akainu with his lightning-covered sword ready, but unfortunately for him the Enel had already anticipated the move and was already in front him with his magma-covered hands ready to strike. Thinking quickly, he had no choice but to once again use his Kamui to phase through. That's when it happened. A severe pain past erupted in his head, disrupting his concentration and forcing him to take full force of the attack, launching him back. The only save for him was that his Shura was in between and had shocked Akainu during the contact. Unfortunately, the blow was powerful and so the sword shattered completely, its remains falling in the magma. All the while Naruto was there, on the ground, clutching his head and screaming in pain. No, not right now of all times. Naruto kept murmuring to himself. Come on, I have to control this. I just need to finish this. He kept saying again and again to himself while clutching his head. After a few moments, when he finally calmed down, he looked up to see Akainu already in front of him and bringing his magma-covered fist down upon him. With little time react, he activated his Kamui once again to phase through, and while he succeeded in doing so, severe pain erupted from his body, causing him fall on his knees. Finally, when he again calmed down and looked up, everybody saw some change. His left eye and slowly his right eye were becoming as if a mirror. When Naruto looked around the field, his gaze fell upon the hanging bow. Die of Teach, and knowing how powerful devil fruit that body contained, quickly unleashed a mirror wall at it. The old man sitting nearby, not expecting this, forced to jump away. This action of Naruto's surprised not only him but everybody there. Now I think it's time to finish this, Naruto said as he clutched his head. His voice was now cold. I couldn't agree more. It's time for you to die, pirate scum. Akainu growled as he charged at Naruto. Dark Hound. He attacked, causing Naruto to dodge. Not giving his opponent any time, the Admiral continued attacking one after another. His own body now taking the form of lava as he chased around Naruto across the battlefield. If one were to look at them all, they would be seeing as a yellow blur getting chased by a red blur. At this point, the pain as becoming unbearable for Naruto, and his body was starting to move on its own. It took all his willpower just to stay conscious and control his body. I need to finish this fast, he thought to himself, or at the very least I think it's time to leave. He looked around the battlefield to look for Whitebeard, all the while still dodging the magma coming after him. Oh, old man, don't just be sitting there, we need to move, he shouted to the old man once he saw him just sitting there on the ground. You move to the ship, I have my own ride. I will follow you shortly. Very well, brat, try not to die, Whitebeard replied, standing up as he started moving to his ship. Seeing Whitebeard move, Naruto himself started to look for ways to escape, but was not so lucky as the remaining two admirals too started to attack him. Whitebeard too, seeing this, started launch shockwaves at them, allowing Naruto to focus on Akainu once again. Unable to control his powers properly, he started as much lightning as he could in his hands and launched it at Akainu while magnifying its power using his mirror-converted eye. The lighting was too bright for everyone present, causing them to go blind for a few moments, which allowed Naruto run towards the sea, all the while grabbing Whitebeard on the way. Oi, old man, don't wander too far and definitely do not touch anything. Before Whitebeard could understand anything, He was sucked up in a vortex originating from Naruto's eye. By now the Marines were gaining their bearings and Naruto had just enough time to whistle loudly once before Kizaru was already upon him with Aokiji just behind. Unable to phase through for now, Naruto reflected all the light attacks all the way back to the plaza, causing an untold amount of destruction. Seeing what was happening, Kizaru was forced to stop his attack, frowning. He definitely didn't like what was happening. Everyone was once again distracted by something emerging from the sea and were shocked to see a Seeking. This gave Naruto enough time to jump on the Seeking, ordering it to go underwater and follow the ship. The first ones among the Marines to gain their bearing were the Admirals. Kizaru started shooting wide-range attacks in the water, and Aokiji was freezing it as fast as possible in hopes of catching Naruto. All the while Akainu was seething as he was unable to do anything, being in the plaza. His eyes were red, glaring in the direction where Naruto left. He hated the young man that foiled all their plans by not only protecting Roger's son but also Dragon's son and that damn Whitebeard. He vowed that day to destroy him using any means necessary in the future. Break. Underwater, the Seeking was doing its best to outrun the ice, all the while dodging the light beams that were raining on it. Meanwhile, Naruto, who was already on the verge of losing consciousness, was doing his best to hold on to the Seeking due to the added effect of being in water. It took a while, but the attack's final. Stopped allowing the Seeking to surface. Looking around, it saw a group of ships and swam towards them, all the while making sure to keep Naruto above the water surface. By the time they reached the ships, Naruto was already regaining enough conscious to keep himself somewhat steady. Once near the ships, he jumped on the deck, causing everyone to look at him. Naruto, ooh! Luffy shouted as he ran towards his Nakama and jumped at him. Unfortunately for him, Naruto didn't have much strength left in him, which caused him to dodge and not catch him, causing to go past him into the railing of the deck. Not now, Luffy, Naruto said, turning towards him. Once again, he felt a splitting headache causing him to clutch his head. The Whitebeard pirates, now out of their shock, started to panic as they didn't see their father with him and started to crowd him. He concentrated as everyone saw a ripple in the air, but once again he fell while clutching his head as the members of the Whitebeard pirates surrounded him. Oi boy, where is the old man? Hey, where is Oyaji, you brat? Yeah, did you leave him there? Hey, answer us. Oi Uzuma, hey, leave him alone. Luffy tried to come to his furry end's aid but was pushed back by the crowd. Shut up, Naruto snapped while glaring at everyone, causing everyone to quiet down. Give him some space, Yoi. This time Marco came forward calmly, before turning to the redhead. Where is he? He asked quietly. Let me focus, Naruto replied to the 1st Division commander, as he once again started concentrating. At first nothing happened, but after a few seconds everyone once again saw as a swirling ripple appeared from his eyes as Whitebeard came out of it. Uyaji! Everyone shouted, finally happy to see their captain and father, and surrounded him. Meanwhile, Naruto approached Luffy with a serious expression and all the while holding his head. So Luffy, what's the plan now? He asked Luffy. Luffy looked confused at first but after some time started giving it thought. Naruto stood silently, clutching his head as the pain surged through him. He could feel the exhaustion creeping up, and the battle was starting to take a toll. But the moment Luffy spoke, he focused all his attention on him. Luffy stood there, his expression deep in thought, his eyes narrowing as he reflected on everything that had transpired. Luffy had faced so much since the beginning of their journey. The battle with Moria, the ice-cold confrontation with Aokiji, the horrifying Sabaody archipelago, and Marineford, each of those events had shaped him into the man he was now. But the realization hit him hard. If it weren't for Naruto, he might have lost not only his crew but also his brother, Ace. The weight of that thought hung heavily on his shoulders. Naruto, Luffy said, his voice firm. We're not strong enough. Not yet. If we want to keep moving forward, to keep fighting, we need to be stronger. He clenched his fists, his resolve solidifying. I want to be stronger. To protect my Nakama and everyone I care about. Naruto, still holding his head, smiled faintly as he heard Luffy's words, understanding the weight of Luffy's words. I was thinking the same thing, he said. His voice calm but steady. So, what do you suggest? Luffy hesitated for a moment before responding. We need to train, get stronger, so we don't end up in a situation like this again, where we almost lose everything. Whitebeard, who had risen from his seated position and was now scanning the ship. His sons were by his side, but the giant pirate's eyes lingered on Naruto, his sharp gaze noting the young man's continued struggle. Whitebeard had been through countless battles, seen the rise and fall of many great men, and yet, he sensed that something was off about Naruto. The young man had been clutching his head throughout the entire ordeal, and while Whitebeard didn't understand exactly what was happening, he knew that this wasn't the time to push him. Something had changed in him, and it was clear that Naruto was struggling with whatever power he had unleashed. Whitebeard's voice boomed across the deck as he addressed the situation, breaking the silence. "Oi, boy," he said. His usual gruff tone softened slightly with concern. "You're still hurting, aren't you? You can barely keep yourself up." Naruto, though visibly tired, smiled reassuringly at Whitebeard. "I'm fine, old man. Just a bit of a headache." But the way his hand was still clutching his head betrayed him. He could feel the weight of the power surging through him, trying to force its way out, and it wasn't easy to keep control. Luffy, however, wasn't one to let things slide. He looked at Naruto with an intense stare, a clear resolve in his eyes. "Naruto, we can't do this alone. We need to get stronger, to be ready for what's coming." Naruto simply nodded, waiting for Luffy to continue, knowing exactly what his friend was about to say. Luffy's thoughts were racing, but he needed the right words to express what he was feeling. After a long silence, Luffy spoke up again. "We need to train harder. We need to grow stronger, if we ever want to take on people like Akainu, like Teach, like all those who will come after us." Naruto smiled at this. "I think you're finally getting it, Luffy. So what's the plan?" he asked, his voice straining, yet still filled with curiosity. Before Luffy could respond, Whitebeard, who had been silently observing the entire conversation, raised his hand and interrupted. "Oi, Straw Hat," Whitebeard called, his voice commanding attention. "I heard your words, and you were right. You are not strong enough yet. But you saved my sons. You saved Ace. As a repayment for that, I can help you train. I can help you all become stronger." Luffy stared at Whitebeard, his expression unwavering. "You're a great man, old man, but no. Ace was my brother, and I would have done it whether you helped us or not." Luffy's voice was firm, his belief in his words clear. "This is something I need to do. We need to grow stronger, for ourselves." Naruto, watching this exchange, couldn't help but feel a surge of respect for Luffy. His friend's determination was unshakable, but he also saw an opportunity. If Whitebeard was offering to help, perhaps there was someone else who could use that assistance. A flicker of an idea crossed his mind. Turning to Whitebeard, Naruto spoke, his voice calm but insistent. "Old man, you're offering help. But I want to ask something in return." Whitebeard raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "There's someone who could use your help. Someone who would benefit greatly from your experience and strength." Whitebeard's eyes narrowed slightly, but he nodded without hesitation. "Very well," he rumbled. Naruto gave a small nod in return. "I'll make sure they're here soon." He turned his attention back to Luffy, who was still processing what had just transpired. As Naruto turned to face Luffy once more, he could see the fire in his friend's eyes. They weren't just going to survive, they were going to thrive, no matter the odds. Together, they would rise. As the conversation slowed, the Whitebeard pirates began to relax. Ace was alive, Whitebeard was still standing, and the future of the pirates seemed brighter than ever. But Naruto's mind never stopped working. There was still much to be done, many plans to be made, and the shadow of the past always loomed just behind him. "We need to move," Naruto muttered under his breath, more to himself than anyone else. "Time is running out." Luffy, Marco, and the others looked to Naruto, sensing that there was more going on in his mind than he let on. But for now, they let it be. The battle was over, for the moment. But there were still bigger challenges ahead, and for Naruto, there was no time to rest. The winds of change were coming. Cut. Author's note. Hope you liked the update. Please review. Just to let everyone know that I have started a page with the same name, Stubborn Nick. And I will be posting future chapters there for earlier access. I hope you will all support me there. Chapter 11. Demon Mirror Naruto Author's Note. This is a reminder to everyone that Chapter 10 was updated from preview to full chapter. If you missed it, jump back to find the complete thing. If not, let's get to it then. Chapter 11. The celebrations aboard Moby Dick had not yet died down, even days after the victorious rescue of Ace and the vengeance wrought upon Blackbeard. Music echoed across the ocean, laughter filled the night air, and the scent of roasted meats and spiced rum wafted across the deck as pirates sang and danced with unbridled joy. It was a rare moment of true peace in the unpredictable sea they called home. Among the revelers, Luffy was the loudest, cheering and laughing with Ace and the commanders of the Whitebeard pirates, when an unexpected but legendary figure arrived. From the sea calmly stepped Silver's Rayleigh, the Dark King himself. His Preza, NCE commanded silence for a moment as the crew recognized the former first mate of the Pirate King. The former right-hand man of the Pirate King stepped aboard the Moby Dick, greeted not with fanfare, but with solemn nods and knowing smiles. He made his way directly to Whitebeard to just grinned at him. Gururara, look who finally decided to crawl out of retirement. I didn't see you at Marineford. Afraid of getting your beard singed? Whitebeard said with a smirk, his voice rough but warm. Rayleigh let out a chuckle. I figured you'd handle things just fine without me. The two talked briefly. Why about the events that had passed? The war, the defiance of the world government, and the changing tides. But soon, Rayleigh's eyes scanned the crowd and landed on a young man standing near the railings, quietly observing the horizon. Straw Hat Luffy, he said, walking over. Luffy looked up, surprised. Rayleigh, the old man smiled. Are you ready to set sail for the new world? I've been watching you, Rayleigh said. You're strong, Luffy, but strength alone won't get you to the top. You've seen what the world can do. You've tasted its cruelty. Luffy's expression shifted, his usual grin fading slightly. Yeah, I know. I wasn't strong enough to stop any of it. Rayleigh nodded. But you can be. With training. Real training. I can teach you hockey. Observation. Armament. And something more advanced. Something that fits your wild nature. Luffy hesitated. He looked down, his expression conflicted. I want to get stronger. I need to. But my crew, I don't want to leave them behind or make them wait. Rayleigh listened patiently, and after a brief moment, he sat down beside the young pirate. Luffy, you've grown. The fact that you are thinking of your crew above yourself means you are already becoming the captain they need. But let me ask you this, would you rather meet them now and head into the new world as you are, or wait, grow stronger, and meet them again as the leader they can rely on? Luffy clenched his fists. Memories of Marineford, of being helpless while his brother almost died in front of him, surged forward. He did not want to feel that powerless again. I want to train, he said. Voice firm. For 2 years. Then we'll reunite. Rayleigh nodded with a proud smile. Then we'll begin. But first, we need to send your message. At that moment, Ace walked over, overhearing just the tail end of the conversation. He gave his brother a smirk. Looks like you've got your path, huh? Luffy nodded, fire in his eyes. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ship, a swirling ripple in the air twisted space itself before a tear opened. Kamui. Out stepped Naruto Uzumaki, his expression calm but resolute, his coat whipping lightly in the sea breeze. Beside him, Nico Robin emerged, looking around the deck with a mix of awe and warmth. The Whitebeard pirates froze mid-celebration, unfamiliar with the sudden appearance. But Marco raised a hand, calming everyone. Naruto had already earned their trust in battle. Old man, Naruto called. Got a favor to ask. Whitebeard turned, raising a thick eyebrow. Speak, brat. I want you to train Robin. That caught many off guard, including Robin herself. I brought her here because I trust you. And because I cannot be with her for now. Not while I'm like this, Naruto said. Robin stepped forward, eyes narrowing with curiosity. You didn't say anything about that when you pulled me from Sabaody. I know, Naruto admitted, rubbing the back of his head. Didn't want to freak you out. But now you're safe, and that's what matters. Whitebeard's curiosity deepened as he looked at Robin, then back at Naruto. You say you can't stay with her. Why? Naruto's gaze turned toward the sea, his voice quieter. My power. Kamui. It lets me move through dimensions. But it also reflects everything, even myself. Robin blinked. What do you mean? Rayleigh, having walked over silently with Luffy and Ace, listened closely. I mean, Naruto continued, that if I'm not careful, I end up fighting the darkest parts of myself. The anger, the doubt, the pain, all of it gets pulled into the Kamui dimension with me. It's like looking into a mirror that fights back. Whitebeard exhaled, the gears turning in his head. A power that turns inward. Rayleigh nodded slowly, and one that demands solitude. If he doesn't master it, he becomes a danger not just to his enemies, but to those he wants to protect. Robin stepped beside Naruto, her eyes unreadable. Then what do you want me to do? Get stronger, Naruto said softly. So when we meet again, you won't have to keep running, and I won't have to keep fearing what might happen to you. The ship was quiet for a moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, Robin smiled faintly and nodded. Then you'd better hurry up. I won't be easy to catch up to. Naruto laughed, tension breaking from his shoulders. That's more like it. A few days later, a few days passed, and Luffy, now fully recovered, stood with Rayleigh and Jinbei at the shores of Marineford, not with anger or vengeance, but with purpose. Rayleigh stood beside him, a plan already laid out. The ruins of battle remained. A silent reminder of the cost of war. There, in front of the world, Luffy made his statement. He broke into the war-torn plaza with Jinbei and Rayleigh beside him. Ringing the ox bell 16 times, 8 to mark morning, 8 to mark rebirth. He held the bouquet in his hand, offering them at the grave of all the fallen. The broadcast went live. Luffy raised his arm, showing the message burnt into his skin. 3D2Y. It wasn't just a cryptic symbol, it was a promise. 3 days, 2 years. To anyone else, it meant nothing. But to the Straw Hats, scattered across the world, it was everything. Elsewhere across the world, Karaigana Island. On Karaigana Island, Zoro stood amidst the ruins, his body bandaged but his spirit restless. Perona watched him with a mix of irritation and amusement. When he saw the newspaper, he saw the image of Luffy's message, his grip tightened. 3 days. No. He means 2 years, Zoro muttered. Perona blinked. What? He's telling us to wait. To train. To become stronger. Zoro looked out at the horizon. All right, Luffy, I'll do it. I'll become the world's strongest swordsman. For our crew. Kamabaka Kingdom. At the Kamabaka Kingdom, Sanji stared in horror at the newspaper, surrounded by enthusiastic Okamas. 2 years, he yelled. I have to survive in this hell for 2 years. But he understood. Beneath the tears and the nosebleeds, he recognized the weight of Luffy's decision. If his captain could endure pain to grow stronger, so could he, even if it meant facing the nightmare of Kamabaka. Weatheria. In the sky island of Weatheria, Nami stared at the newspaper with wide eyes. The scientists around her continued their weather experiments, but she was lost in thought. 3D2Y. He's telling us not to meet in 3 days. But to come back in 2 years, she whispered. She wiped her tears. All right, Luffy, I'll master this island's weather science. I'll be ready. Boeing Archipelago. At the Boeing Archipelago, Usopp wiped food from his mouth, staring at the paper as Heracles hovered nearby. Luffy wants us to train. For 2 years, he looked down at his own bloated stomach. I can't stay like this. I'll become a brave warrior of the sea. Heracles nodded proudly. That's the spirit, Heracles. Karakuri Island. At Karakuri Island, Frankie ducked behind cover as a wild cyborg animal fired a laser. Then, he saw the paper. He grinned, despite the explosion. All right, Luffy, 2 years, huh, let's see what I can do with Vegapunk's tech. Torino Kingdom. In the Torino Kingdom, Chopper narrowly avoided being thrown into a stew. The natives turned their attention to the sky as massive birds descended. Then, he saw the paper. Luffy, I get it. I'll study the plants and medicine here. I'll be useful, I promise. Namakura Island. On Namakura Island, Brook was mid-song when he read the news. He paused, the notes fading. 2 years. Yo-ho-ho. Very well, Luffy. I shall bring joy to people until we meet again. And when we do, I'll have a new song just for us. Back on Moby Dick, Naruto stood at the ship's edge, Robin and Whitebeard by his side. It's time, he said. Robin looked up, her eyes softer now, yet filled with unspoken emotion. You'll come back. I always do, Naruto replied. He turned to Whitebeard, who merely gave him a nod. Don't die, brat. I don't plan on it. With that, Naruto stepped forward, and vanished in a swirl of Kamui. The last thing Robin saw was the flicker of his smile. He emerged alone in the middle of the sea, whistling. From beneath the ocean, a massive sea king emerged, his loyal steed. With a single leap, Naruto landed on its back, and pointed ahead. Find me a quiet island. Somewhere no one goes. The creature roared in reply and swam into the horizon. As the waves faded behind him, Naruto looked up to the sky, where the stars shimmered like fragments of another world. 2 years, he whispered. Let's see what I become. Cut. Author's note. I know this was a short chapter, but I hope you liked the update. Please review. Just to let you know that I have started a page with the same name, Stubborn Nick, and I will be posting future chapters there for earlier access. I hope you will all support me there.